everyone, and welcome to the opening drive on 101 ESPN in St. Louis. It's 7 o'clock. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Brooke Grimsley is here. Super Bowl champ Kerry Davis is here. I'm Randy Carricker on the heels of another weekend of Cardinal baseball.
Oh.
Is that what that was?
That was
it was a weekend.
It was a reality check, I think is a good way to put it.
Kind of was, yeah.
Things were nice. You had the 6-game winning streak after they won the series opener. And then what happened the rest of the weekend?
We got 3-game losing streak.
Well,
Oh, okay.
Well, but guys, okay, let's go little sunshine lollipops on this, okay? At least the Reds only swept the Diamondbacks and moved 10.5 ahead of the Cardinals. The Brewers are 7-3 in their last 10, and they lead the Cardinals by 11. But here we go. The Pittsburgh Pirates are still in last place.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
Don't finish last. Is that where we are right now?
Don't finish last.
Okay.
Well, if you're not first, you're last. So you should maybe strive for one of the two.
Well, okay. Don't put too much thought into this, bro.
Okay.
Let's see if we can be positive here.
I'm trying to be another positive.
Taylor Motter's back?
Yes.
Your guy.
That's how you know things are good. Taylor Motter is back.
He's got great flow.
Great hair. Offensive prowess. We just didn't see it. I mean, we've seen it in the minors,
we didn't
but
see it, yeah,
defensive.
Yeah, he did come back yesterday and played second base. He did go 0 for 3. Average dropping to 174, but at least his on base is 269.
Neither are great numbers, Randy.
No.
Neither. It's not great.
Things not happening for Ali Marmol's
You
squad.
can make everything sound positive if you just say it in a very cheery way.
It's true. We can. Hey, the Cardinals, you know what? They had a highlight yesterday.
They did.
That's
chopped toward third. That's a fair ball. Incredible play.
See, there you go. Nolan Arenado.
He is fun to watch. When he's on his game, he is fun to watch.
Now, here's one of the things. When you're a baseball manager, you've got to deal with all kinds of things. You've got to deal with distractions from players that allegedly don't hustle. You've got to deal with your front office signing catchers that don't know the pitches that your pitchers throw. You've got to deal with left-handed relievers that are your best guys, but you want to stretch them out to be a starter, and then they get brought back as a reliever. But then there's things that are completely out of your control, like those aren't, like having to deal with strike zones, like having to deal with umpires.
It's tough. These guys are already tough enough to hit against. When you have to expand the zone and put something in play that's off the plate, that's where you tend to be on the ground and be less productive. So, unfortunately, that's the way it worked out.
Yeah, it really is unfortunate that it worked out that way, that the Cardinals had to deal with umpiring, and apparently the Cubs didn't.
That's the way it goes sometimes, huh?
That's how baseball goes. All right, so Waino is back tonight. The Diamondbacks this weekend, the Cardinals are in Arizona. Diamondbacks this weekend were swept by the Cincinnati Reds, who are by the way, pretty darn good. But let's get back to the Diamondbacks, who have spent most of this year in the hunt for a playoff spot. And if ever there were an elixir to get your team back on the beam, going home to take on the St. Louis Cardinals appears to be that thing this year. Yes, Brooke.
I'm a little concerned because this is a little bit sooner than I thought for Adam Wainwright. Honestly, because he came on, what was it, this past Wednesday, and said that the plan was possibly scheduling to throw a live batting practice. Which, I mean, technically it is a live batting practice, but instead of facing your own hitters, you're going to face another team. So that's something that does concern me a little bit. I know that they will limit him to just 60 to 70 pitches, but it is a tad bit sooner than I was expecting it to happen.
It shouldn't concern you.
No? Because of where this team is right now?
When I saw that lineup yesterday, I said, oh, okay.
We're punting. We're punting on the season. That's fair.
I mean, what other explanation could it be? You got guys not playing. You got and don't give me it's a getaway game. No, you need to win every game if that's the plan. And so, yeah, I think that the decision has been made. Unfortunately for Miles Michaelis, who said he didn't want to say bye to some of his good friends. He's going to have to because they haven't performed well enough for guys to stick around.
Jordan Montgomery makes an error in the first inning. That leads to a couple of unearned runs for the Cubs. Then he walks a couple in the third inning, and that opens the door for a 5-run inning. Yesterday, Jordan Montgomery falling behind was all on Jordan Montgomery. And that's one of the things you have to deal with if you don't play clean baseball. And part of playing clean baseball is not walking guys and not making errors. And if you walk guys and make errors, then all of a sudden you're going to lose games 7-2. That being said, the Cardinals have gone 8-4. They played .667 ball in their last 12, and they picked up a game and a half on the division. The division is playing well too, and the Cardinals. That's one of the things, CD. You talk about kind of punting on the season, but even if they weren't trying to punt on the season, they aren't catching these teams in front of them. Milwaukee's playing really well, and Cincinnati is really an ascending, good, young ball club.
I think you had a chance. I mean, you had a chance to get closer to third in the division and put yourself in a better place. You lost 3 out of 4 in Chicago. You needed to win 3 out of 4, if not sweep that series, and in order to have an opportunity. And it's just this team is you can find all of the reasons in the world for why they perform the way that they do or why they don't perform the way that they need to when they need to. But at the end of the day, it hasn't been good enough, and this is what you get. This is the end result.
It's not translating. It's not translating well at all. At least Nolan Arenado happened. I was a little bit concerned because on Saturday when he had to exit the game early, but he was able to come back on Sunday, and he just carried the offense. And that's what he's been doing, especially here lately after that first month. And you can maybe he's one player I will give a pass on the World Baseball Classic. That's one player, just because of the slow start at the beginning of the season. Everybody else, I think that you can't use the World Baseball Classic as an excuse. And even with him, he's not.
That's right. That's right.
Got to collect them all.
So anyway, Genesis Kerber, now a member of the Blue Jays. We will remember him. And a trade rumor, kids. Trade rumor central. USA Today's Bob Nightengale reporting that the Cardinals have put Willson Contreras, he of the 5-year, $87.5 million contract, on the block in his first year with the team.
Real quick, I just want to remember something with Genesis Cabrera as we say goodbye to him. I will never forget when he hit Bryce Harper.
Yeah.
That happened. Anyways, going back to Willson Contreras, that was a memory. I'll never forget that one.
That's our lasting memory of Genesis Cabrera.
I thought you were going to play that for Jose Fermin.
Oh, poor.
Oh, wait.
Longtime Cardinal, Jose Fermin.
Long time.
Sent out by the ball. I'll write it too. The AAA Memphis squad. How will we remember the Jose Fermin era?
The eye black for me. Just the eye black for me.
Oh, no.
So, anyway.
Willson on that block, huh? But not really much of an explanation of, are we saying goodbye to him, too?
Yeah, got a few. Oh, man.
Okay, so Willson Contreras makes, let's give the chronology here. Last year at the trade deadline, 1 year ago right now, Jeff Passan put a piece up at ESPN.com, essentially writing, nobody wants Willson Contreras because of his inability to manage a game behind the plate. They would only want him as a designated hitter for the rest of the season. That's in print. You can find it on ESPN.com. If you do that, search for Jeff Passan's piece last year at the trade deadline. So Willson Contreras stays with the Cubs, has a day in St. Louis where he has an epiphany. He says, I want to play for the Cardinals and replace Yadier Molina. Yadier actually gave him a jersey, an autographed jersey. Remember? And Willson went back, I guess, to his hotel or home and tried that jersey on and got goosebumps. Said, I want to be a Cardinal. Ooh, ooh. And then the Cardinals go down to Florida to have a meeting with him because there was like this, all of a sudden after the All-Star break, there was this thought process on the part of baseball. Oh, we really need Willson Contreras. We really need Willson. Well, maybe not, but the Cardinals thought that. So they go down to Florida and they meet with him for 3.5 hours. Who talks for 3.5 hours? They do. And Willson Contreras convinced the Cardinals that he wanted to be their catcher. He wanted to catch every day. He wanted to be their guy. Don't blame Willson Contreras for that one bit. And Willson Contreras had been a good hitter. So the Cardinals give him, in bidding against themselves, I would believe, a contract for $17.5 million over 5 years. Okay? So he gets $87.5 million. We all know what happened 30 days into the season. The Cardinals decided, we signed this $87.5 million catcher that unfortunately for us can't catch. And his catcher's ERA has not been good. His catching, not his catching, but his game management acumen has certainly been called into question, even by some of his teammates. So we've got this combination of things. We've got last year's Jeff Passan piece. We've got the fact that nobody was bidding for him. We got the fact that the Cardinals apparently overpaid for him by bidding against themselves, and that even by his own teammates, he's been called out, and by his manager when he was benched. And now he's on the block at $17.5 million a year for the next 4 years? How's that going to work out?
It's not going to work out. That's the thing. That's what's kind of ridiculous about it. I don't doubt that maybe they would try to just test the waters, because obviously they're feeling a certain type of way about Willson Contreras this season. Here's the thing, though. I'll say this. I think that there are things, as you mentioned, that you can point out where you say this has not been ideal for Willson Contreras, where he hasn't maybe exactly done his part in certain situations. I don't feel sorry for the Cardinals organization. I don't. They're the ones that went out and pursued him, right? They're the ones that courted him. You mentioned how long that they were fixated on finding a catcher. Willson Contreras was the right fit. They mentioned with Sean Murphy that they would have to give up too many of their prospects and players that they wanted to keep here. This is the situation that you're in. You knew he wasn't going to be an everyday catcher. It's not like he was hiding, or was he hiding in plain sight? He was literally in your division. You saw what the Cubs did with him. Then you know what you're getting into. It's hard for me to not... I feel sorry for the situation going into that, because you knew what you were getting into with him, and that's not on Willson. Wilson's doing what Willson does. Maybe you should have had some more tools there and resources to be able to maximize him talent-wise.
That would have been a good idea.
That would have been a great idea. But unfortunately, how I imagine those phone calls go when the Cardinals call other teams, it's like, hey, we're looking to move Willson. They just hang the phone
just
down.
hang up.
Just put the phone down.
Yeah, I would think so. And I had this number.
Why the hell would we take him if y'all don't want him? You all paid him that money.
Exactly.
And here's the thing. You got to give the man a chance. I think there is potential there to be really good. As I said before, the Cardinals, you got spoiled by Yadier Molina for a number of years. It was easy.
Yeah.
You didn't have to put in the work as a staff. You're going to have to put in work together collectively in order to be good. You can't rely on Yadi to just figure out the entire game plan and tell you what to throw, and you are up there mindless, just not worried about anything because you know your catcher has it under control. If you work together, then that transition could have been more seamless than what it is and what it has been now. And hopefully a full spring training where everyone is together and they're not at the World Baseball Classic.
Oh, yeah, that would kill them.
That should
Devastating.
Put things back in order. Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. I put no blame on Willson Contreras. He did what he should have done. He got himself the best contract, and the Cardinals didn't, like you said, Brooke, they didn't maximize him. By the way, if you do trade him, and you presume that he's going to be a designated hitter, this year's National League DHs, J.D. Martinez of the Dodgers is in the midst of a one-year, $10 million contract, having a really good year, by the way. And Jorge Soler, he's in the last year of a long-term deal that's paying him $15 million this year. As we mentioned, Willson is making $17.5 million. J.D. Martinez has home run seasons in the past of 36, 38, 43, and 45 homers. Career OPS of 873. Willson Contreras has never had a 30 home run season. Soler had a 47 homer season. He led the American League. Two others of 30 home runs. And Contreras has a lower OPS than Martinez for his career, an 804 career OPS. And if the Cardinals would pick up half of the remaining $70 million on his deal, $35 million. If the Cardinals would pay $35 million to him to not play, it wouldn't be worth it for the other team.
No.
Because you can get a cheaper DH than...
Well, how much would the Cardinals have to eat for another team?
I'm saying at least half. I'm saying at least well, let's see, 17 and a half. Don't have me dividing odd numbers by 2,
no.
please. So that would be 8.5. And 8.5 is 17, right? So 8 and 3, $8.75 million.
There you go.
That just happened.
That's
good
math
job.
just happened.
8.75 a year.
Oh my
job.
goodness, that was beautiful. Either way,
you.
I don't feel bad for this situation for the Cardinals because Willson Contreras, you should be maximizing him, and just think of the situation that put him through mentally.
Oh man, yeah.
It's been tough.
Yeah.
It's been a tough year.
And last night, St. Louis City SC lost to the Columbus Crew by a score of 2-1 on the pitch in Columbus. So, it took a while to get going because there was a weather delay. But then they went live, and it was, for St. Louis City SC, 2 live crew.
Oh my God.
And they win it by a score of 2-1. And we're off and running here on the opening drive on 101 ESPN. Somebody clap for me. One person clapped for me. Thank you, CD. Appreciate it. Oh, and City got an own goal off of Nico attacking the 85th minute for the final tally. Coming up next here on 101 ESPN, things we love from the weekend with Brooke, Carrie, and Randy on the opening drive.
Look for John Deere savings this Friday and Saturday at the St. Louis Premium Outlets from 10 to 6. Disconnect from the daily grind with something far more powerful. The oceans and lakes around you. The Yamaha 2023 Wave Runner lineup offers everything, including the Built for Fun EX Series, the race-ready GP Series with performance-enhancing technology, and the top-of-the-line FX Series. Chase a thrill or find an escape with Yamaha Wave Runners, designed to bring you closer to everything you love about the water. Get your 2023 Yamaha Wave Runner at Big St. Charles Motorsports, located on I-70 at Cave Springs in St. Charles, Missouri.
This is the opening drive on 101 ESPN. Brought to you by Sumner One.
Belated happy birthday to Matthew Rocchio, whose birthday was actually yesterday.
Yes.
Happy birthday, Rock.
Thank you.
How old did you turn?
I have a hat that won't fit on my headphones. I turned 32.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Nice.
O.J. Simpson's number.
Oh.
But O.J. Anderson's number.
Oh, okay.
And Steven Matz's number. Steve Carlton's number.
There you go.
Oh, I was partial Reese Jones-Drew.
Mojo. Who's a good number 32? Franco Harris was number 32.
Harris was a really good number.
Yeah, one of the great number 32s of all.
Adrian James.
Edge. One of the CD. And before we get to the things we loved about the weekend, I was never around Edgerrin James until I listened to his Hall of Fame speech. And we've talked about this before. If ever there was a situation where you never judge a book by its cover, it's Edgerrin James.
You should never. Edge is one of the smartest players I have ever met in my life. He actually, my rookie year, we would get on the plane, guys would be playing cards, he would be reading or playing chess. And he gave me my first book in the NFL, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He said, read this, learn how to take care of your money. And it was just his personality. Like he would allow you to believe what you wanted to believe, but when he opened his mouth and spoke, you knew exactly what you were dealing with. And he was a great teammate, great player, and just one of the smartest football players I've ever been around.
If you have 5 minutes, just Google Edgerrin James Hall of Fame speech because he was terrific. All right, things we loved about the weekend. Brooke, what do you got? Taylor
Well,
Motter.
my second thing is Taylor Motter coming back. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Good for Taylor Motter. I was going back and forth with somebody on the text line, and they asked, why is he here? And I said, his hair. And they said, but why? And I said, because he'll get a Pantene deal. I don't know. I always will cheer for somebody to find success. It's just, I think it's a sign of where things are right now for the Cardinals. Anywho, my number 2 thing from this weekend is going to be Scott Rolen. That speech yesterday, him getting inducted into Cooperstown, having Whitey Herzog there, Tony La Russa. We know that they've been battling with things health-wise. But, guys, I lost it. Anytime that you talk about your parents and family is when I lose it. The fact that his parents were able to be there for that moment is something that I know that a lot of Hall of Famers don't get to experience, right? Because sometimes it takes a really long time. Your parents won't be able to be around. But the fact that his parents were there for that speech and he talked about them a lot and talked about everyone really that helped him get to this point, it was a beautiful speech, and it was great to see him get inducted.
It was fantastic. He did a great job.
My number 2 is I went to an event this weekend, Cigars and Sundresses out in Lakeside Park. It was an amazing event. They shut down 370. It was packed. People were walking from the on-ramp and off-ramp, which is not safe, but it was a great event. Had a great time and, had some few drinks and some cigars.
I love that. That sounds
Had
good.
a wonderful time.
I love a good cigar.
So Saturday night, I was not planning on this, but just at the last minute, I decided, you know what, I'm going to put a ribeye on the Traeger. So I put a ribeye on the Traeger, grilled up some vegetables with it, and it was absolutely delicious. You can never go wrong. Not that you want it every single night, but you can never go wrong with a great ribeye. It was delicious.
That does sound good. Delicious.
Delightful. None of us have the Cardinals on there, I guess, huh?
Number 1.
Not yet.
I could, or I was thinking about bringing up Chase Davis. He was able to get his first professional hit this past weekend. That's great. So that's kind of my half number 1. Yep. My other big number 1. They release the Titans Oilers jerseys for pre-order, and they are beautiful. Sometimes I get so worried when they bring back those retro jerseys of if they're somehow going to screw it up, right? If everybody has seen those, or if you haven't seen those, go look at them on social media. They're beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I'm going to get a Kevin Byard one because he's the mayor of Murfreesboro, went to Middle Tennessee State University where I went. I'm super excited. And he also showed that he's a team player by taking a little bit of a cut, bringing in DeAndre Hopkins. So I'm all about Kevin Byard right now. But the jerseys are...
How did you not get DeAndre Hopkins?
Look at that. It even makes Ryan Tannehill look cool. That's pretty big.
If you do that.
That's my quarterback.
That's my quarterback.
I do like the throwback.
And then it has
Houston Oiler.
Yeah, it has Love Ya Blue on the inside.
The baby blue 80s and 90s. Yes.
Here's the thing. Here's something, a really nerdy uniform thing they actually got right here. Every single stripe on the jersey is the exact same. You look at the Browns' new ones, they have different stripes on different parts of the jersey. It looks kind of ugly.
They got it all over the place.
Same stripe everywhere. Same
It's
stripe
gorgeous.
pattern. It's gorgeous.
My number one is the Browns. My number one is I'm going to give a shout out to the St. Louis Slam, women's professional football here in St. Louis. They made it to the championship game again, but they lost to the Boston Renegades. But these are a group of women that work their butts off. I actually coached them some years back, and the experience that I had will always be with me forever. Those women work as hard as any football player that I've ever been around. They are football players. They are steadfast in their love for the game and how much they're willing to put in, how much time they spend doing it. And they truly love the game. And it was an exciting experience for me to be able to coach them. And it has been exciting for me to watch them continue to grow and continue to play. And some of the women that I coached some years back are still playing. So shout out to them for making it to another championship game. Unfortunately, they did not get the win, but they are champions to us.
All right. And guys, my number one, 36-year-old left-hander Brian Harman has been pounding that rock on the PGA Tour for years. He's been a veteran. He's never been a guy where you thought, okay, he's the best player to never win a major, but he's always knocked on that door a little bit. And this weekend, essentially going wire to wire, Harman took the Open Championship at Royal Liverpool. And I think it's so cool when guys that are veterans that have been around for a long time get that probably only opportunity to win a major, and you could tell that he really reveled in it. So congratulations to Brian Harman. He's my number one, the Open champion for 2023, and not many people saw that coming. We were picking Rory, or we were picking one of the guys from the Live Tour, but it's Brian Harman that comes out on top, and I always like it when an American goes over there and wins the Open.
Very nice. We're going to give some love to Messi for his goal.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What is it? Overtime? Stoppage time?
Yeah.
It's not the clock doesn't.
Clock doesn't end when it strikes zero. The game doesn't end when the clock strikes zero. We had a little on there.
So proud of you, Jerry.
That's a good shot.
Hey, a little extra on there.
A little extra on there.
Yeah, it was 4 minutes of stoppage time, and if you look at the clock said like 95:30. It's like we're in the 96th minute. 4 minutes of stoppage time, 90 plus 4, 96 minute.
But it's Messi.
It is Messi.
Lionel Messi.
Yeah. Had to give him a chance, right?
Little extra.
It was gorgeous, though.
Oh, yeah. Great. Awesome. Terrific.
Gotta love it.
Yeah, all the stars were out. Did you see that?
Yeah,
LeBron, Serena Williams, Kim Kardashian.
Yeah, right. Was Tom there?
But then we wouldn't have the money for Mbappe.
Oh, I didn't see if Tom Brady was there or not. That's a good question because we are following that development, that story.
By the way, City did make a transfer.
Oh, they did? Yeah, they got a guy.
Yeah, it's not Mbappe, though. I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
Darn it.
Sorry.
We're working on it, though.
We'll work on it.
Coming up next here on 101 ESPN, we're going to talk to our friend, the pride of Eureka High School, Dani Wexelman of MLB Network Radio is with us next on the opening drive on 101 ESPN.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Cardinals dropped 3 straight against the Cubs over the weekend to drop 3 out of 4 in Chicago. They are back in action tonight at an 8:40 first pitch, facing off against the Diamondbacks in Game 1 of that series. Adam Wainwright is back on the bump for the Cardinals, 3-4 with a 7.66 ERA on the season. He faces off against the righty for the Diamondbacks, Ryan Nelson. Also, over the weekend, St. Louis City takes a tough loss in Leagues Cup group stage play, 2-1 to Columbus Crew. The game started almost 4 hours after its scheduled time, and it was over relatively early as Lucas Zelarayan buried a free kick past backup goalkeeper Ben Lunt for the first goal of the game. Columbus Crew would add a penalty in the 29th and never looked back. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff. Find your roads and shop 24/7 at londoff.com and londoffautoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
With Brooke Grimsley and Super Bowl champ Kerry Davis, I'm Randy Carricker. Always good to have you with us on 101 ESPN. And always good to go to the celebrity line when Dani Wexelman, pride of Eureka and of MLB Network Radio, is with us. Dani, good morning. How are you?
Oh, my gosh. Good morning, gang. Everyone's here early. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk some baseball, but just always a pleasure to get to hang out with you guys in the morning.
And Dani, I know this is one of your favorite times of year. When we get to trade deadline time, you love this, right?
Yeah. You know why? Because I think it's an opportunity for guys who maybe aren't having the best season, who get traded, and then they go off and they make a name for themselves, and you see teams add and get better. You start to see the separation in baseball, and you also kind of see what teams might start to look like in 2024, the next year, right? This is a chance to start to build for the next season. That's half of the league, and then the other half of the league, actually even more than half of the league, they're starting to turn their attention to the postseason, because with the new format, guys, it's so interesting right now because there's actually more teams in play than there used to be, because you have more opportunities to get in, which is good for baseball. So there are less teams right now who are scratching their head trying to figure out, all right, what are we going to do? But yeah, it's just exciting. There's so much to talk about, and I just think it gives a chance to talk about other players, not just the superstars around the league.
Dani, speaking of talking about all of this, we've been talking about the trade rumors about every day, and the latest one coming out this weekend, we were talking about this morning, Bob Nightengale mentioning some names that he thinks that could be traded. Willson Contreras, he also mentioned on the trading block. What do you make of that report?
Yeah, did you guys like that? Just stirring the pot a little bit. That's what I felt when I saw that. There's absolutely no way that John Mozeliak is trading Willson Contreras. There is absolutely no way. 5 years, $87 million. That guy is sitting in St. Louis, and he's going to learn this staff, and he's going to learn it well, and he's going to be the guy. Andrew Knizner is under contract, I believe, for 2 more years until he's a free agent. You've got a guy, Ivan Herrera, who's in AAA. He could be the next guy. You could call him third on the depth chart for the Cardinals. And then you got a couple top prospects. They only drafted 1 catcher this year. That should really tell you where their investments are right now. 1 catcher, a college guy, and that's it. So you're looking at Willson Contreras, you're looking at Andrew Knizner, and then you've got Herrera, who's in AAA, who's pretty good, and he could be a good backup depending on what happens. But no, they're going to invest in Contreras. I think they realized after the entire situation just went unhinged that they've got some cleaning up to do. They've got to set him up to succeed. They've got to put Willson in a position to succeed with this team, whether that means putting in extra work this next spring. You can't blame the WBC. You can't really point fingers at anyone except for the organization for not putting him in a better situation. Is he the best catcher in the league? No. He's not, and it's not even close. He's not even in the top 10 right now, and especially behind the plate. He's not, but that's where they committed their money, and they need to now invest in him in a way to figure out how to make him better because you're also going to have a whole new crop of arms coming in, right? There are guys who are about to be leaving this organization, not just because they're Adam Wainwright and this is it for them. The trade deadline, the offseason, you're going to have a whole new crop of arms coming in, and he's going to have to learn them and figure out how to do better behind the plate, because that's what the expectations are and that's what the standards are in St. Louis.
Danny, you talk about the trade deadline and people leaving. It seems as though the Cardinals are only going to get prospects in return. Is there a potential for a player that could come back to the Cardinals with the guys that they could be trading away, or is it mainly going to be prospects that we're looking for the 2024 season?
Well, I really hope that they're going to get a guy who is more major league ready than just the prospects. But I will say this. I think this is really important for people to understand why Jordan Montgomery and Jack Flaherty could be traded. They're about to be free agents in the offseason. If you let them walk and you offer them that qualifying offer and they don't accept it, you get the draft pick compensation, and that's it. So if you trade them now, you have the opportunity to get the draft prospects or the top prospects, and get the guys to start to get them in your farm system and cultivate them and develop them. If you let Jack Flaherty and Jordan Montgomery get to free agency, you ultimately get nothing in return. Draft pick compensation is great. It's not good enough right now in my eyes. And so I think that you have to look at, okay, we're going to get top prospects back. I'm looking at the Dodgers. They have a ton of arms. In their top 10 top prospects, a ton of arms that are going to be really good. They also have Emmett Sheehan. Emmett Sheehan already made his debut. He's with the Dodgers right now, so he's getting a little taste of what it's like. That could be a possibility. I also think the Dodgers are really trying to go after Shohei Ohtani. So I don't know who's going to be available. But prospects are really important. Get them in your organization and start to develop them and try to teach them what it means to be a Cardinal. How do we pitch? How do we go about our business? What does it mean to be a pitcher in the Cardinals organization? So top prospects are great. You're going to get them. You're going to get a couple guys. But you also have to remember that Jordan Montgomery is not having the season that they'd hoped for. Jack Flaherty has not returned exactly to the form that they had hoped for. So I'm unsure of the return that they're going to get for these guys, but they are going to get prospects nonetheless. And I think that that's way better than the alternative of getting to free agency and only getting the draft pick compensation.
Danny, you're up there in New York. What do you think the Yankees are going to do?
Oh, my gosh. Isn't that the million-dollar question right now? I mean, listen, they're coming off a series against the Royals, so I think that the numbers are a little inflated right now. In my eyes, Aaron Judge has been out for a while, right? That's the big flashy name there. Even if you get Aaron Judge back, I still don't know how much damage you can really do. Their bullpen was the best in baseball in the first half. They have gone to shambles at this point. They're just out of the American League wildcard race, so I think they could get in. Do I think they have enough to really get them past that round? No. So right now I'm kind of looking at Gleyber Torres. He's a guy I think that they could get a nice return for. He's been one of their best offensive pieces. And he could be a guy that you could see on the trade block coming up here in the next week or so. But by no means do I think that they're going to be massive buyers. I don't think that's the play. What's interesting about the Yankees that you don't really see in other divisions is that they're a fourth or fifth place team right now with the Red Sox. They are above 500. They have a positive run differential. And in any other division, they would maybe be a first or second place team. But they're in the American League East. So for me, I think they're sitting pat. It's not a rebuild. It's not a full blow up. Maybe they get a couple pieces for 2024.
I know that you follow the MLB draft and cover it closely. What do you make of Chase Davis? He was able to get his first professional hit this past weekend. Do you think that he's somebody that we could see within St. Louis here soon for the Cardinals system?
Oh,
and not super soon, but sooner than typical.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh, you guys. I am such a fan of Chase Davis. I have a really big smile on my face right now. I've known Chase since he was in high school and watched him get to go through his college journey. And I think what everyone really needs to know about this guy is his heart and his determination, because his freshman year at Arizona, he didn't really play the way he thought he would. He was the dude coming onto campus, and he didn't play a ton. And he took that time to learn and to grow and to support everyone else around him. and start to just grow as a person because he knew he'd get his chance. And that, for me, speaks volumes. You want to talk about character and talk about a guy who fits in this organization. John Mozeliak and company, they knew exactly what they were doing when they picked a guy like Chase Davis. It's not just the skills that he has, because let's be honest, he showed them off his junior year, but you didn't see it the entire time that he was in college. But they know what they have. He's a quality guy. I absolutely think you're going to see this guy in the big leagues sooner than later. And I'll tell you this, you are seeing that with the college draft guys. They are at a different level than you've ever seen before. I'll give you an example. The Angels organization, Zach Neto is their starting shortstop. Last year in June and in May, June, he was playing college baseball for Campbell. He was in college, and now he's their starting shortstop, and he's a damn good shortstop, and he will be. And that's exactly what you're going to see from these college guys. And Chase Davis is no different. I think the world of this kid. I'm so excited that he's a part of this organization, and I think that fans are going to absolutely love him.
Danny, is there any chance that the Mets trade Max Scherzer or Justin Verlander?
Ooh, you're getting spicy. It's not even 9 a.m. I know it's even earlier for you guys. We're already getting spicy. Here's where I sit with it. Two things. Number one, it's really complicated, right, because of Max's contract, because of the no trade clauses. So those two things, I think, stand out the most to me. I think that if they want to capitalize on this moment and they find an organization that would be willing to take Max's salary, to take his complicated contract, and also take a guy who is not the Max Scherzer that we know. Let me caveat, I love Max Scherzer. I still think he's a shark on the mound. I still fear him. But I don't think that he's exactly the guy that signed up for the monster contract, the contract, the kind of contract that we don't really see in baseball handed out to a guy of his age, right? He got paid for what he's done, not necessarily what they thought he could do in my eyes. And it's hurting the Mets right now tremendously. It's hurting them. I don't know if a team would take him, but I'll say this. Every team needs a guy who's going to eat innings. Every team needs a guy who's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. The Mets need to figure it out fast because they need to start to turn the page a little bit when it comes to the younger guys and developing their own guys in a better way. Justin Verlander staying. There's no scenario I could see that guy leaving this organization. I think Max is a little bit more likely, but I ultimately I think they stand pat with those guys, and you're going to see them in a Mets uniform next year. Do I think that's the right thing? No, but I think it's really tough with the contracts that they have and the money that's been offered. I don't know a major league team that would be willing to take on the majority of those contracts and then also take guys that are not playing up to their potential. And the last thing I'll say about that is that you could blow everything I'm saying up, and the second a guy hits a new organization, it's like they get a new lease on life. Aaron Hicks, right, DFA'd by the Yankees. He's playing some of his best baseball with the Orioles right now. Joey Gallo, same thing with the Yankees. Maybe it's a Yankees thing. Maybe it's a New York thing. I don't know. You know, now he's with the Twins, but I just think that both those guys are going to be in the Mets uniform, and they're going to figure it out, and they're going to have to figure out how to land their pitches and evolve as they make their way into the Hall of Fame in the next decade.
Danny Wexelman, the pride of Eureka. Always good to hear your voice. Always fun to listen to you on MLB Network Radio, too.
Well, thank you guys so much. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of this week because I know it's going to get hot and heavy.
Absolutely. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you, Danny. See you later.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
Dani Wexelman, you can hear her on MLB Network Radio, and great to have her with us here on 101 ESPN. Coming up, get your text into the Air Comfort Service text line, 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO! We've got Take It or Leave It coming your way on 101 ESPN. Hey, if you want to improve your golf game, obviously you want to improve your short game, and a Celebrity Green from Clubhouse Turf here in St. Louis can help you out. They'll put a synthetic turf in your backyard that provides real grass performance so that you can putt and practice chips and pitches and bunker shots. But there's so much more that Clubhouse Turf can provide for you. They offer a complete line of synthetic turf installations, including sport turf, playgrounds, pet turf, and lawn turf. If you have brown spots in your yard from your pets or areas where you simply can't get the grass to grow, well, Clubhouse Turf has the solution. Synthetic turf is durable, easily maintained, and sustainable. You can reach Clubhouse Turf on the web at clubhouseturf.com or give them a call at 314-834-2343, 314-834-2343. Their turf installations incorporate the latest technology in synthetic turf, fields that can drain 50 inches an hour and can provide evaporative cooling on sweltering hot summer days like this one. Call Clubhouse Turf, 314-834-2343, or find them on the web at clubhouseturf.com.
Take it or leave it.
I want to say something. Put it out there. If you like it, you can take it. If you don't, set it right back.
Get your text into 314-399-9646 and give us your take it or leave it.
Brought to you by Gloria Lou Realty. Visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com and start packing.
That's my final offer. Take it or leave it.
With Matthew Rocchio and Brooke Grimsley and Kerry Davis, I'm Randy Carricker. It is the opening drive on 101 ESPN. Time for Take It or Leave It. Get your text in to the Air Comfort Service text line, 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO. So we're having a fun little exchange with a texter. We always love to interact with the texters, who's claiming that John Havlicek was as good as Michael Jordan. And I'm looking here, CD, at the all-time NBA career leaders for points per game. And right at the top, I see Michael Jordan. And I'm scrolling down and I'm looking for John Havlicek, who was a really good player, taking nothing away from John Havlicek, and I'm scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, and I'm down to, let's see, I'm down to number 40, and I still haven't found John Havlicek. Take it or leave it. This is a specious argument that John Havlicek was as good a player as Michael Jordan.
I'm going to take that.
I'll take it.
They just also replied saying, I'm doing analytics like the Cardinals. Cherry pick the best numbers for my argument.
Yeah, 52nd all-time in scoring, 12 points less per game than Michael Jordan is John Havlicek.
Yeah, the texter brought all of these numbers into the message. And I said, you conveniently left out the 5 MVPs, 6 finals MVPs, the 10-time scoring champ. I mean, those are pretty important numbers for best player of all time.
I didn't even realize this, but when John Havlicek came into the league, he joined a team that had 7 Hall of Famers.
That helps.
Yeah.
I mean, that helps.
And had already won 5 championships.
That helps.
So they had a pretty good idea of what they were doing.
I like that they admitted that they're cherry picking. I think that that's a great way to go into things, and I'm going to do that from now on, where I'm just going to cherry pick certain things. I'm being serious. That's a great approach. Because I saw that. I was like, wait a minute, what is happening?
I don't argue with people. I try not to, because you learn a lot about people when they make their arguments. You're like, that makes sense to you? Okay, cool. No point in me arguing with you then.
Pretty amazing.
So, Randy, I know we were talking about Mbappe earlier. The Saudis have offered him $332 million, which I think he's mulling over. Take it or leave it. City's going to have to open up the pocketbook.
Yeah, I'm going to take that. I'm going to take that.
They've already been opening up the pocketbook, but that's opening the bank.
They're going to have to bring the whole truck.
Did you say $332 million?
$332 million.
The enterprise people have that. Don't worry about it.
They may have it. Are they going to give it?
Well, I don't know about that. Remember, 33.
You don't need $500 million to get Messi or Mbappe here. You just need him to have a wife who wants to walk around.
Okay,
there we go. That's good. Yeah. By the way,
that's true.
That matters.
That's something.
People thought because
be able to speak
I'm
in
assuming
public.
because I didn't say that the Lionel Messi goal was like the best goal in the history of soccer that I hate soccer.
There you go.
No,
that's how I took that though. Honestly,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, Messi is a good goal, but you know what? His franchise that he's playing for, it's a Messi.
Oh,
they won.
I think they're in last place though.
It might be.
They are.
I don't hate soccer.
Some people were showing.
I enjoy soccer.
Yeah, some people were showing on social media his reaction to some of the play in MLS, and it's different than what he's used to. Probably
He'll get over it.
it's you know what? It's Miami. He'll have fun
he'll have
in
a good
South
time.
Beach.
He'll be fine. Yeah.
Take it or leave it. It was interesting what Dani was talking about when she was talking about what you can get in return for Jordan Montgomery, Jack Flaherty. With everything that's going on, and we know that they're punting on the season, take it or leave it, they're going to move Jordan Hicks because there's going to be some value there.
I'll take that.
Take it.
It's going to be tough, but here's the other thing. Do you see them spending a lot of money on a reliever what is their track record with that?
No, they
success-wise?
Well, and nobody should spend money on relief pitchers. It just doesn't work because almost inevitably, the team that wins the World Series has a different closer in the World Series than they had at the beginning of the season.
True. Take it or leave it. Patrick Wisdom is starting to look a lot more like a young Wade Boggs.
Yeah, he's 32, so I think I'm going to leave that.
Yeah,
I think he's 32. Patrick was
Also, Patrick will be joining us on Thursday morning this week to talk for the Cardinals Cubs series again.
Let's see.
Nice.
Let me make sure that he does not look. He's 31. He turns 32 on August 27th, and no, he bears no semblance to Wade Boggs. I believe Wade Boggs. Well, let's start with this. He's never hit 300 in his career.
We don't know about Patrick's ability to drink 40 beers and eat a whole chicken, though.
Now that would be impressive. Is that the comp we're trying to make here?
I'm not sure. I'm just saying we don't know if he can do it. That's all I'm saying.
Quick question for you guys. Yeah. Speaking of people and the way they look, what did you guys think of Scott Rolen and his thick mustache on his plaque?
I'm fine with it.
Does he have a thick mustache?
No.
Or did he have a thick mustache at some point? Because I'm even looking at photos.
Not here. Not for the Cardinals.
I thought he did. I thought at some point.
He's had a mustache, but not like it looks thick on there. With two C's.
Yeah. He gets to approve that, though, before they put it up there.
Yeah, that's true.
By the way, Wade Boggs, a career 328 hitter. And
it was different back then.
He did play.
It was different back then.
He played 18 years in the majors and had 3 seasons under 300.
Yeah, people used to hit for 300 back then, Kerry. It's crazy.
Man, what?
Yeah, Patrick Wisdom.
Take it or leave it. It's time to let Gorman and Carlson play every day, no matter which arm the starting pitcher uses.
Take it.
I'll take it as well.
You said Gorman and Carlson?
Yep.
Yes, why not? It's so that you can take out, because Carlson kind of hinted towards that maybe he hasn't gotten the most opportunities. Maybe if you give them as much of the opportunities as possible, you're eliminating that conversation.
Take it or leave it. We underestimate that the Cardinals should trade Tommy Edman.
I wouldn't be surprised if they move him, but
if you look at the ceilings of all of the guys,
yes,
he really does have the lowest ceiling. Now, he's the most versatile player, but he's a center fielder that doesn't have a great arm. He's a Gold Glove infielder, but he's not a great offensive player. Carlson and Gorman both have higher upsides than Tommy Edman does.
Yeah.
Donovan appears to have a higher upside than Tommy Edman does. I don't know what you could get for Edman right now, but
and that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, I don't talk enough about him being a possibility.
I think that he is a possibility, but the injury that you mentioned, I think is something that kind of holds him back at moving him at the trade deadline.
Gorman didn't play the other day. He what's wrong with him?
I think it might be a back.
How long has he had that?
Oh, Kerry, it's about a week back.
No! And I purposely, I don't know if you guys noticed, I purposely didn't mention Nolan Gorman's injury to avoid the conversation.
We noticed. Yeah, we noticed. Carrie, I'm just
I
going
can't sneak one by you guys.
throw this little grenade at you. Take it or leave it. The 2001 Lakers beat the 98 Bulls in a best-of-7.
I'm going to leave that.
2001 Lakers?
Yeah.
That's the they won the championship that year.
Yeah, well, and it was Shaq and Kobe.
Yeah.
No. I mean, which
I'm going to leave it.
The 98 Bulls?
The 98
Can
Bulls.
Rodman slow down Shaq?
Oh, nobody's going to slow down Shaq.
Oh.
So, but I'm gonna leave that because they have the greatest player to ever play the game. Lace him up.
Yep.
All right.
Shaq gonna get his, but the Bulls just were to me.
Well, but if ever there was a team set up for Hack-a-Shack, though.
Yeah, that's true. They had a lot of big guys who could just eat them up. Take it or leave it. Mbappe can't put a price on the free zoo.
Take it 100%. Yep.
We're going to take that one.
Think about how many French things we have here.
Mbappe, Magic House.
Are you kidding me?
Oh, we've got a new crepes place.
Killian, if you come to
French crepes place out in Chesterfield that's delicious.
Kylian Mbappe, if you come to St. Louis, we will all promise to say Gravois.
No,
we will.
We will all promise to say Gravois.
What's his first name?
That's a tough one.
Killian.
I think Anthony Stalter would name his kid after him.
There you go. See? We'll have Stalter name his kid after him. We'll call Gravois. It'll be great.
Yeah. Mbappe. We'll just say that name a lot on the show, too. Mbappe.
There you go.
Segment every day for him.
Do you think maybe the way you say
We'll commit
Messi
to that.
is one of the reason people think you don't like soccer?
Messi.
Lionel? Lionel Little Train Messi?
I like Little Train. That's good. Little Train's really good.
Little Train.
Okay. Inside football here. The Chargers, when they were in San Diego, way back in the day, Carrie will remember this. They had a running back named Lionel Little Train James.
I do remember him.
That's a good name.
And the reason that he was called Little Train is because he was 5'6" and 171 pounds.
The best running back, one of the best running back names, Natron means business.
Yeah, that was another
that.
Charger.
Really good one.
Yeah. By the way, Little Train played at Auburn, played in the NFL from 84 through 88.
What is with the Chargers like backup running backs getting great nicknames? Michael the Burner Turner?
Yeah.
What is with the Chargers running backs and nicknames?
Pretty good.
Darren Sproles was a great one too.
Yeah. They had a ton of them.
Good job.
Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you, Randy.
And thank you very much for your texts. We do appreciate them. Coming up, Scott Rolen did make the Hall of Fame and had an epic speech. We'll hear from him next on 101 ESPN.
In baseball, I am a Jasper Wildcat. I am an Indiana Bull. I am a Philadelphia Philly. I am a St. Louis Cardinal. I am a Toronto Blue Jay. I am a Cincinnati Red. And today, because of all your support, I'm a National Baseball Hall of Famer. I am a friend. I am a brother. I am a son. I am a husband. And I am the greatest gift, a father. So, Nick, Rain, Finn, Todd, Sis, Dad, and Mom, thank you. I love you.
8:04 in St. Louis. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Scott Rolen being inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame wearing a Cardinal cap yesterday. And those words brought tears to the eyes of one Brooke Grimsley.
I legitimately did, because anytime I lose it when family's mentioned, because it's just so sweet having his children there, his wife, and then his mother and father. Oh my gosh, that was such an emotional moment. I know a lot of people did it behind the scenes videos and pictures. His dad got to put the finishing touch on putting up the plaque, and it's such a beautiful moment, because not many Hall of Famers are afforded that luxury of being able to have their parents, who we all know your parents are the ones that drive you to the games, that got you into that sport, that helped you when you felt like maybe even leaving that sport, and supporting you all the way. It's just such a beautiful moment to be able to share it with them.
It took a long time for him to make the Hall of Fame. If Scott Rolen would not have gotten hurt, he had a collision with Hee-Seop Choi of the Dodgers at first base in 2005. And if Scott Rolen would not have gotten hurt that day, he, I'm sure, would have ended his career as a member of the St. Louis Cardinals. And rather than finishing his career with 316 home runs, probably would have finished with 400. He finished with an 855 OPS. He probably would have finished with a plus 900 OPS. In the years leading up to that collision with Hee-Seop Choi, he had OPSs of 915, 910, 1.007, and then when he had the collision with Hee-Seop Choi, it went down to 706, 887, and he was never even close to 900 again. So his career was dramatically affected by the shoulder injuries, and we remember 2006, he was so affected that Tony La Russa benched him, and he rather than David Eckstein, easily wound up, or could have wound up being the MVP of the World Series. He was that good.
I just remember Scott Rolen just being the guy at third base, doing what he was going to do, making great plays, hitting the ball hard. And I'm glad that he was inducted into the Hall of Fame. But let's not forget Fred McGriff as well. He was also inducted. They go in together. I just thought that those two kind of give you an example of what baseball was in the late 90s, early 2000s. It was fun to watch Scott Rolen play baseball here, and it was definitely fun to watch the Crime Dog play baseball in Atlanta.
Yeah, no doubt. Rolen with some spectacular numbers. His introduction yesterday into baseball's Hall of Fame.
One of the most well-rounded third basemen in the game's history, winning 8 Gold Glove awards, and was genuinely feared on the bases. He was the unanimous choice for the 1997 National League Rookie of the Year and a 7-time All-Star. He joined the St. Louis Cardinals in 2004, leading St. Louis to 2 National League pennants and the 2006 World Series championship. The pride of Jasper, Indiana, please welcome Hall of Famer Scott Rolen.
Okay, it's Baseball Hall of Fame, and he went in. But can I help out the Hall of Fame a little bit? Sure. Rolen joined the Cardinals in 2002.
Okay.
And with all due respect, he's a Hall of Famer. Mm-hmm. Does anybody think that he led them to those national pennants?
There's somebody else that was here. But you can be
it's a Hall of Fame, sure.
You can be
helped lead them.
There you go. Because there's one guy that kind of led the charge there.
Kind of.
Yeah. He's going to go in a few years as well. It happens.
But what a spectacular journey for Scott Rolen as he took to the podium yesterday in Cooperstown.
Baseball was my career, but it is not my story. My story begins and ends with the people sitting in front of me. My role models lived in the same house as me. That house was a modest home with a sunken living room 2 lazy boy recliners, and a wood-burning stove that was pumping ungodly heat at all times. It was located in a value-driven, hard-working, supportive community in Jasper, Indiana. This is where I grew up. This is where I dreamed of being a Major League Baseball player. As a matter of fact, on my first day of kindergarten, Mom picked me up and, of course, asked how my day went. I told her it was fine, everyone's nice, but I think I'll just stay home from now on and practice baseball. So proud.
That is so cool.
That's such a special moment.
And by the way, this is a guy, you talk about hardworking, small town, middle America. He was offered $140 million to stay with the Phillies, turned it down because he wanted to come here and win, and he took $90 million from the Cardinals. He left $50 million on the table to be a member of the Cardinals and try to win.
Worked out for him.
I would say so.
Yeah.
So congratulations to him. And CD, I'm like you. I don't want to gloss over the amazing career of the crime dog, Fred McGriff. And he should have gone in. The writers, something should be adjusted with the writers that they didn't put Fred McGriff into the Hall of Fame, that it took a special committee to put him in. 494 home runs and a winner wherever he went. He was the difference between the Braves winning their division in 1993 or not winning their division. But everywhere he went, he was productive, and he was a great guy that represented baseball exceptionally well. So I'm really thrilled that Fred McGriff made it in.
I am too. I mean, like I said, growing up watching him from afar, obviously just when the Cardinals got to play Atlanta, that was fun for me to see him. And one of the greatest nicknames, and we were talking about nicknames earlier, the crime dog. I mean, you have to love that for Fred McGriff as well.
For those of you that aren't aware, there was a PSA for kids, and it was basically, I think, respect the police or something like that. I'm not positive. But it was McGruff, the crime dog. So you had McGriff, and he became the crime dog. Chris Berman gave him that nickname.
I do think that there's still some players, there always will be, that you're like, why are they not a Hall of Famer? Curt Flood will always be top on the list for me, Cardinals-wise. I'm still surprised that he's not. I don't know if there is some sort of committee where they could go back and look on that. I don't know.
They should, not only for his impact on the game and starting free agency and having the impact that he had, but he was a really good player. He was a world champion twice over. He played on 3 pennant winners with the Cardinals. He was a multi-Gold Glove winner. He was a key part of that lineup. And yes, it would be posthumous, but it's also well-deserved if Curt Flood is elected to the Hall of Fame.
When you look at some of the numbers, and if a player is not at 2,000 hits, is that kind of the benchmark for Hall of Fame or not Hall of Fame? Jim Edmonds is at 1949. He's 51 hits. He was 51 hits shy. I'm looking at Curt Flood. He was at 1861. It feels like that number, for whatever reason, despite how well a person played, could be the number that is the one that is looked at most.
Seems like that's changing now because of the analytics movement, and numbers are changing. But for the older school writers, I do think that for certain positions, 2,000 hits is a big milestone. 500 home runs. I'm convinced that Fred McGriff, if he would have hit 500, 6 more home runs, that he would have been a Hall of Famer a lot earlier. So, yes, there are absolutely numbers there. And Edmonds, if I had a vote, I would vote for Jim Edmonds for the Hall of Fame. And I would vote for Curt Flood for the Hall of Fame. But the writers have a different viewpoint than I do of what a Hall of Famer is. When a guy is the best center fielder in his league for an extended period of time, he was one of, if not the, and this is all due respect to Derek Jeter, Jim Edmonds was one of the best postseason performers of his era. And he had a flair for the dramatic, and he helped his teams win. He was just a winning ball player, and I think he's one of those guys that you look at the numbers and you say, okay, borderline at best. If you watched him play every day, you say Hall of Famer.
I was at the game when he caught that ball in center field. It was against Houston.
Yep, Game 7.
That was the best catch I have ever seen in person in my life.
When the lights were bright, Jimmy Baseball was there.
Yeah. What was that moment like inside Busch Stadium?
It was electric.
Because you see it on TV, but it's different.
We were sitting there, and the ball is hit and you're like, oh, man. And you're watching him run, and the way he went out there and caught it, you're like, oh, my God. I remember that because I was at that game with my dad, and those memories are just priceless for me. So, yeah, that was a one of the best catches I've ever seen in person.
And the night before, Game 6, he had hit the walk-off home run to beat Houston and force Game 7. And then that was Roger Clemens was on the mound in Game 7 for Houston. Brad Ausmus hits that ball into the gap, and it was just an amazing catch. Man. And Houston takes the lead in that game, and Clemens gets the lead. Then it could have been a different animal altogether. Yeah. And then the Cardinals wound up winning the game and going to the World Series. That was pretty cool in 04. That is your fresh take here on 101 ESPN. Congratulations, Scott Rolen. Next up, according to Bob Nightengale of USA Today, Willson Contreras is on the trading block. What would that mean? What's that look like with Willson Contreras if he is indeed on the trading block? That's next on 101 ESPN. Hey, it's always fun to spend time with Gloria Liu, owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, and she's given me the secret behind her guaranteed sale program. Gloria says, why work with any other real estate company that won't provide any upfront written guarantee and hope that things are going to work out? Hope is not a good plan. Gloria's secret, if she can't sell your home at your price, she'll buy it and guarantee it upfront in writing. Let's talk real estate for a minute. You need to get to know Gloria Liu. Her number is 314-325-6888, 314-325-6888. Or you can visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com, and she really does have the buyers. That's how she can guarantee to sell your home, because she has every guarantee available. Thousands of ready buyers from over 20 years in her exclusive database looking to buy in your neighborhood and in your price range. That's how Gloria nets you the most money and creates the highest demand, many times with multiple offers, which means more money in your pocket. Gloria Liu is not your average agent. She's St. Louis local real estate authority with 20 years of experience, hundreds of homes sold in just the past 12 months alone. Give Gloria a call if you want to sell your home, 314-325-6888, or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. Carrie, Randy, and USA Today's Bob Nightengale reports that the Cardinals have put Willson Contreras, he of the 5-year, $87.5 million contract, on the trading block in his first year with the team. Of course, the Cardinals took Contreras out from behind home plate after just 33 games this season. And there's been consternation with him, it seems, throughout the first half of his first season with the Cardinals. He does, kids, have full no-trade protection. And I think he has no trade protection also from the other 29 teams in baseball.
Why is that?
I'm just saying.
Why is that? No, expand.
I'm saying the $17.5 million a year over the next 4 years after this contract. And the Cardinals have basically told everybody what they thought they already knew, and that is he's a DH.
Yes.
Ivan Herrera is getting the bulk of the playing time for the Cardinals behind the plate. The Cardinals have benched, well, not benched, but they've taken him out from behind home plate. Before they did it, and they told us, now they've done it, and they didn't tell us, but they've just put Herrera back there. And while he is a great offensive catcher, if he can catch, he's not a great offensive DH.
No.
So why would you pay a bunch of money for a DH that isn't as good as a DH that you could get for half the price?
Yeah, and that's the situation they put themselves in. I keep wondering, too, and this is not a knock on Willson, because once again, this was their decision. It's not something that they just jump or fell into with Willson. This is something they heavily pursued. Were they just too hyper-fixated on a catcher this past offseason when they should have been paying attention more to pitchers?
I think that they were hyper-fixated not only on a catcher, but a catcher that could hit. That kind of became their thing. Oh,
they
we
even
have this,
said that.
Yeah, we have this unique opportunity to have a catcher that can hit in the middle of the lineup. And I don't know that they looked around and thought enough about two things. Number one, what everybody had kind of intimated earlier, but also number two, what, Kerry, you've talked about a lot, is I don't think that they had enough appreciation for what Yadier Molina had brought to their table.
Yeah, I talked about it a couple of weeks ago, just knowing that Yadi did all of the work and there was not a need for them to really put in as much time because you knew your catcher was going to have all of the answers for you. Now you have a catcher who is not Yadier Molina, who is not a future Hall of Famer from the catching position. He may be because of his bat if he goes and has a great career from here on out. But just knowing that Yadi was going to have every answer, know what pitch needed to be thrown in what situation, what the batter did and didn't like, and how to get the most out of his pitching staff, that's something you can't just learn overnight. That took years to build that confidence with each pitcher, and guys had to trust him. And eventually, you know, you get new guys coming in, and that's Yadier Molina. Yeah, we trust him. We haven't played with him, but we trust him. And now you get a new catcher in Willson Contreras, and the trust has not been there, and that building of the relationship has not been there. You talked about the World Baseball Classic and a lot of guys missing time. Yeah, that played a part into it, but once you get into the season, guys have to learn how to trust one another, believe in one another. If I make a mistake behind the plate and I call for a pitch that you may not have, unless it's a regular occurrence, well, it just could be a mistake. Maybe I got confused. Maybe I was thinking of something else. This pitch would have been great here, but you're not comfortable throwing it. And then, again, we've talked about, we laugh when we see other teams and their starting pitchers or their pitchers shake off their catchers because, wow, is that something that they can do? Because when you're a pitcher, whatever pitch you throw, you need to have conviction in. And there are times where the pitchers are just throwing pitches. Well, he told me to throw it. It's coming out of your hand. Do you want to throw that or not? And if not, tell him no and get the pitch that you really want. So the finger pointing for it all being on Willson Contreras for me was just not professional at all from the Cardinals pitchers and from the whole organization.
It looks bad, especially when you're looking. We're talking about the history with free agents and that you brought in and into this organization. You look at Mike Leake, Dexter Fowler, now Willson Contreras. You can't keep saying that these guys are just somehow not figuring it out. It starts to look like it's an organizational thing at that point, and that's a fair assumption, especially when there's a pattern of behavior where things are not panning out. With Willson, to already throw in the towel with him 33 games into the season and to handle it so publicly in that manner only looks worse. And for that report also to get out by Michael Kay also looks really bad because then it seems like, okay, we might have moved past it. Just kidding. It's still something that's being figured out or talked about amongst the clubhouse.
By the way, can you imagine calling another general manager if you're Mo or Gersh or call another manager or Pobo and say, hey, you interested in Contreras?
They'd be like, huh?
And they'd say, wait, what? Didn't you guys?
The guy you said couldn't play catcher?
Yeah.
And you were going to put him in the outfield?
Yeah.
And then just primarily DH him? Nah, we're good. You want him to be our catcher? That's the it's crazy to hear that could be a possibility. I don't know how true it is. I don't know if that's actually what's taking place, but the fact that someone would call and say that the Cardinals would call and say, hey, we want to trade Willson Contreras. To who? For what?
Who? Right.
For what? What do you want in return?
And that's, to me, another part of this that just makes the Cardinals look bad. And the Cardinals have such a long history of not looking bad publicly. But this is a massive mistake. It might be, And this is, again, no fault of Willson Contreras, who is, he's a serviceable catcher. He's won a World Series. If you have the right surrounding cast for him and the right teaching cast for him, you can win with him. But this makes the Cardinals look bad, and if they don't do something to fix it, it might be the worst free agent signing in the history of the sport.
And that's why you should fix it. That's what Dani touched on earlier, and I couldn't agree with her more, is that, look, you spent that money, you brought him in here, he's a part of your organization now, whether you like it or not. You can put his name out there on the supposed trade block and blah, 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 all that kind of stuff, how much that report is true or not. I'm sure that they might be feeling some things out, but it just doesn't make any sense, because what does that show to everybody else on that you just give up on somebody that easily? And what will that do to future free agent signings?
I don't think it's going to matter, because he's not going anywhere.
Exactly.
But even to put it out there, it's just another slap in the face to Willson Contreras. If this report is true, you've told him that he can't be the catcher. You told him that he calls pitches that aren't for the pitchers that are on the mound. You're telling them that now we're going to trade him, or he's on the trade block. Like, all of this information being leaked out is a continuous slap in the face to a man who has worked his butt off to be a professional athlete and has done. He's not going to be Yadier Molina, but he's done the best that he could do with the staff that he's had and with the management that he's had.
Yeah, it's really an unfortunate situation. Now, the Cardinals did have an issue on Saturday, and this is the way Ali Marmol discussed the issues that the Cardinals had with the home plate umpire.
It's tough. These guys are already tough enough to hit against. When you have to expand the zone and put something in play that's off the plate, that's where you tend to be on the ground and be less productive. So, unfortunately, that's the way it worked out.
So here's the thing. If the Cubs aren't complaining, shouldn't we give Willson Contreras a ton of credit for his pitch framing? Logical question.
Just say.
So anyway, it's unfortunate. By the way, just as a little context here, this year's National League designated hitters in the All-Star game were J.D. Martinez of the Dodgers. He's playing in the midst of a one-year, $10 million contract. Jorge Soler of Miami, this is the last year of his deal at $15 million. Nobody is going to spend $17.5 million a year over 4 years for Willson Contreras or anybody else, by the way, to be their DH. No baseball team will sign a designated hitter for $17.5 million a year over 4 or 5 years. It just will not happen.
No, it doesn't make any sense.
No. So good luck to the Cardinals with what they're thinking here, if indeed he is on the block. Because if I'm another general manager or Pobo, I'm laughing. You interested in Contreras? Really? Really?
What do you want in return? Like, what do you think you're going to get in return? And I think that's... We're going to get into it, I'm sure, but I think that's the main question coming back from the Cardinals. You want what in return for who?
Cap relief?
Listen, you're going to have to – it's going to be – this trade deadline is going to be intriguing for the Cardinals, because I think they're going to get a lot of prospects back, which is not going to make a lot of St. Louis Cardinals fans excited for players that they haven't seen or haven't heard.
It'll make them excited for next season, maybe.
Oh, there you go.
They're ready, if they're ready-ish.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, so
that's what they're looking for.
Yeah, let's develop some guys.
How's that going?
Yeah.
In the past.
It's the opening drive on 101 ESPN. Coming up, we've got the fight. Do we have a fighter? Oh, well, let's get a fighter then. All you need to do is text in to the Air Comfort Service text line, 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO! You text in your name and the word fight, and maybe Matthew will pick you to fight me next on 101 ESPN.
Here it is.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Cardinals dropped 3 out of 4 against the Cubs in their 4-game series in Chicago. The last one 7-2 on Sunday. They will start a 3-game series against the Diamondbacks tonight, 8:05 first pitch out in the desert. Also over the weekend, St. Louis City SC falls. It was late last night. The game started almost 4 hours after the scheduled time due to rain delays in Ohio, and then Columbus Crew jumped out to an early lead in the 11th minute behind a Zelleran free kick and then a 29th minute penalty that added to the deficit. It was 2-0 pretty much until the end of the game. St. Louis City SC did add on an own goal off of a Nico attack in the 85th minute for the final score of 2-1. They will wait until next week to play Club America in the second game of the group stage of the League's Cup. That is your Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Welcome back to the opening drive. I'm Kerry Davis, joined by Brooke Grimsley, and it is time for the fight. And our fighter today is Joe. Joe, how you doing?
Good, Kerry. How are you?
Doing well. You ready to take on Randy Carricker?
Yeah, we'll give it our best shot. Let's do it.
All right, here we go. Against which pitcher, also a Hall of Famer, did Scott Rolen record his highest number of hits? Is it Greg Maddux, Roy Oswalt, or John Smoltz?
We'll go John Smoltz.
There was one pitcher who faced Roger Maris, Mark McGwire, and Barry Bonds in his career. Who was it? Tommy John, Nolan Ryan, or Jim Cott?
Let's go Nolan Ryan.
Which golfer faced famously crumbled on the 18th hole at Carnoustie to lose the 1999 Open Championship? Is it Paul Lowry, Bernard Langer, or Jean Van de Velde?
We'll just go with the first option. I'm not really sure.
Fred McGriff was the first ever player to hit 30-plus homers for 5 different franchises. Who is the only hitter to join him? Jim Thome, Gary Sheffield, Alfonso Soriano.
I'll go Sheffield.
All right, we will double-check our score, and we will bring in Randy Carricker.
How you feel, Joe?
Not great. A lot of guesses there.
Sometimes guessing can be okay, depending on what Randy does. It's a Monday, and he's coming in. He's got his Propel Black Cherry.
You betcha. Yeah, of course.
Black Cherry. CD
doesn't like my
Propel. No, I don't.
That's all right.
Black cherry is the good flavor, though. Black cherry is the best flavor, I would argue.
It is the best Propel flavor, without question.
Well, they don't put it in the variety pack.
They don't?
They don't. They have
they need to get on
grape, berry, and then kiwi strawberry. I don't know what they're thinking
love
there.
kiwi strawberry. We talked about that. Kiwi strawberry is amazing.
It really is. I think it's the best.
I think it is, too. Best Snapple flavor.
No, kiwi strawberry, is the worst. I'm sorry. It's the worst. I was thinking black cherry.
Just a flippity flop.
Excuse me, flipping and flopping more than a politician over there, huh?
100% flip-flop there.
Right now. Say hello to Joe.
Joe, good morning. How you doing?
Good morning, Randy. Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for listening. Thanks for playing. We appreciate it.
All right, Randy, you ready?
Ready.
Against which pitcher, also a Hall of Famer, did Scott Rolen record his highest number of hits?
This is a good one. Let's see. Rolen played in the East for a long time, and then came obviously over to the Central. So I'm going to say that he came up in about 95-ish, so mid-90s. So he would have been there in Philly when they were taking on all those Braves guys. And I'm just going to go logic here, I think. Hold on, let me just think about this a little bit. I think I'll go Glavine. I think I'll go. He hit Glavine well, and obviously would have faced him a lot. So I will go with Tom Glavine.
All right. Question number 2. There was one pitcher who faced Roger Maris, Mark McGwire, and Barry Bonds in his career. Who was it?
So Roger Maris finished his career in 1968. Mark McGwire started his career in 1987. And then Barry Bonds was 1986 through 2007. 1968 would have faced Maris. So that would rule out Steve Carlton because he was with the Cardinals at the time. Okay. Here's what I'm thinking, because the first thing you think of is the guy that played for 27 years, right? So Nolan Ryan was with the Mets and would have had the opportunity to face Roger Maris. Mark McGwire, he definitely would have been able to face McGwire when he was with Texas. And then Bonds, when he went to Houston, right? Because Bonds would have been with the Pirates at the time, before he went back to Texas. So I am going to say the only one that comes to mind as even a possibility would be Nolan Ryan.
Which golfer famously crumbled on the 18th hole at Carnoustie to lose the 1999 Open Championship?
Jean Van de Velde. Boy, was that something. You should watch that 20 minutes on YouTube sometime. You think you had a bad day on the golf course?
I don't want to see anybody
man.
That's
collapsing,
painful.
crumbling.
Yeah. Especially when he took his shoes off and pulled up his pants so that he wouldn't get his pants wet, and then he decides not to take the shot out of the water. It was weird. But
he's in his head
He was just having a meltdown.
He big time meltdown. It was great.
All right, final question.
Okay.
Fred McGriff was the first ever player to hit 30-plus homers for 5 different franchises. Who is the only hitter to join him?
30 homers for 5 different franchises. Okay, Kingman would have done it for the Mets. Kingman played for 4 teams in 1 year, though. So I don't think it'd be Dave Kingman. Let's see. Canseco, I don't think, did that for a bunch of teams. Guys didn't. I'm going to say it's in the free agent era. So I'm going to say post 1976. Brooke, I think I'll use the lifeline here.
Okay. Jim Thome, Gary Sheffield, Alfonso Soriano.
Okay, Soriano, Cubs, Rangers, Nationals, Yankees. Thome, Phillies, White Sox, Indians at the time, now Guardians. I don't know if he would have done it for the Twins. Definitely didn't for the Dodgers. And then Sheffield, Padres, Marlins, Yankees. He did for somebody else. Thome. So let me do Thome again here. Cleveland, Philly, White Sox. This is kind of weird. Yankees. I think I might go Soriano here. Yankees, Rangers, Nationals, Cubs. Did he do it for somebody else? This is a great question.
Oh, we got 2.
2 in a day? Rocc, you got to spread these out,
Birthday boy.
Thome. Let me just think. Thome never did it for the Dodgers, even though he was there for a while. So, White Sox, Indians, Phillies, Twins. Did he do it for anybody else? I guess I'll go with Thome just because he hit all those home runs. I'll do Thome. I don't even remember. Go ahead. I'll do Thome. Final answer.
All right, we have to go to a tiebreaker. Because of course we do. So let's go to the tiebreaker. Randy Carricker is going to get out his pad of paper while I explain to Joe the rules. Joe, I'm going to read the question. We're going to give Randy Carricker a beat to write down his answer. We will then get your answer audibly. Randy Carricker will then confirm his answer. Everyone here in the room will confirm it. We can even do it with the camera and everything because we can do that. And then who's ever closest to the pin is going to win this fight. Joe, do you understand those answers or those rules? There's the word. Yep. Cool. All right, Randy, do you have your pad of paper?
I do.
All right. In 1964, Red Sox young star Tony Conigliaro set the modern era MLB record for home runs by a teenager with how many? In 1964, Red Sox young star Tony Conigliaro set the modern era MLB record for home runs by a teenager with how many? Randy Carricker, you have written down your number there. Mm-hmm. What is your guess, Joe?
I'll go with 17.
17. Quick little bit of math here, and we have a winner in today's fight. Ring that bell.
The winner and new champion of the fight, Average Joe Listener.
The fight is presented by Golf Discount of St. Louis, with the most experienced club fitters in town. Why shop anywhere else?
Congratulations, Joe. The tiebreaker helped you out today, and you beat Randy Carricker in the fight.
Well, sometimes lucky is good, huh?
There you go. Sometimes lucky is good. Randy, what was your guess on Tony Conigliaro?
I said 38, which was the number I think that he probably hit the year before he got hit in the face.
Yeah, I actually think it was the year after. I think he was either turned 20 or 21 and then hit 38. The correct answer on the tiebreaker was 24. Joe, 7 away, is closer to the pin, so therefore he is the winner. Let's go through these. Answer against which pitcher and also Hall of Famer did Scott Rolen record his highest number of hits? It is Greg Maddux. The right team, obviously, just kind of 3 options there for you to choose from. There was one pitcher who faced Roger Maris, Mark McGwire, and Barry Bonds in his career. It was, in fact, Nolan Ryan. Came into the league in 1966, kind of helped out there. And which golfer famously collapsed on the 18th hole at Carnoustie to lose the 1999 Open Championship? Jean Van de Velde. And yes, it is a fun YouTube video watch if you don't like secondhand embarrassment. And Fred McGriff was the first ever player to hit 30-plus home runs for 5 different franchises. The only other player to do it since is Gary Sheffield. Dodgers, Marlins, Braves, Yankees, and shockingly enough, the Padres. Therefore, Gary Sheffield, all 5 teams there. And then, of course, our tiebreaker question, Tony Conigliaro, the modern era record for home runs by a teenager in a season with 24. Congratulations, Joe. We will talk to you tomorrow on The Fight.
Great. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Yeah, you too. Thanks. Gary Sheffield in 1992 almost won the Triple Crown. He was
should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yes. Yeah, no question.
He's got the 2,000 hits. He's got the 500 home runs.
Got the cream in the clear.
Yeah.
Led the league in hitting at 330.
Allegedly, Randy. You have to
allegedly.
Say allegedly.
Yeah, right.
You didn't say allegedly. I know.
That saves you from a lot of things saying that.
Yeah. Well, no, I think that that might have even been.
He said he unknowingly used.
Yeah, but he...
It was an accident.
But it didn't. I didn't say that it enhanced his performance.
Just rubbed something on his arms and elbows and shoulders, and
there you go.
Yeah. A little jump.
Coming up, we got the Birdwatch here on 101 ESPN.
Hey, it's Kerry, and if you're dealing with pain, I got some great news for you. My friend Dr. Sheen can help you. You know, the older we get, the more pains our body can feel, and I've been dealing with pain for quite some time. Sometimes it's my ankles, my back, my knees, my elbows, and I thought I'd have to deal with this pain until I met Dr. Sheen, and he taught me about PBM. What is PBM? Big word, easy explanation. It is photobiomodulation. It's simple. It's light therapy that helps you heal. The light stimulates cells in the damaged area, which allows your body to heal itself faster. It decreases inflammation, and it helps eliminate pain and discomfort. Even after my first treatment, my elbows started feeling great. My knees have been feeling great, and my physical therapist told me he noticed much less inflammation than I've had in the past. It has been life-changing, and if you want to feel better, if you want to feel like you did 5-10 years ago, you need to reach out to Dr. Sheen today. See if he can help you. Check him out online at thesvi.com. That's thesvi.com, and tell him Kerry sent you.
St. Louis Cardinals. This is Bird Watch on the opening drive.
All right, time for bird droppings here on 101 ESPN. Brooke, what do you got for us?
There's a lot of dropping.
Oh, no, she's a bird watch.
I'm a bird watch.
Yeah, she's Sunshine Lollipops.
We are flying down. Well, and there we go.
And rainbows, everything that's wonderful is what I feel when we're together.
It's Sunshine and Lollipops because we're flying down to Memphis where things are a little bit different there.
A little bit better.
Mason Wynn picking up his 13th home run of the season this past weekend. It was a really big weekend for him. He extended his hitting streak to 10 straight games. That's the fourth this season of 10 or more games where he's had a hitting streak. He's just looked really good down there. We've talked about, how the Cardinals are starting to transition to more where they're wanting this athletic, the speed, all that. He fits the criteria for that, and he looks like offensively he's ready for that next level. Now, when is he going to come up? That's going to be the question, right? Maybe after
August
the
2nd.
trade deadline. You think you'll see him right after the trade deadline?
I hope so.
I hope so, but you never know. You never know where things are going to go. I think it's the right thing to do. I was a little surprised. I think I saw people on social media when they saw Taylor Motter was up there like, why not give Mason Wynn a chance? Well, they got to make some moves first here, and then hopefully we'll see him later. I was going to say this month, but next month. I was already, I'm like the Cardinals. I'm looking ahead. He's doing really, really, really well. He's hitting .388 in the month of July with 5 home runs in the month of July and 21 RBIs, but 13 home runs this season for him. He's continuing to take major step forwards.
I am looking forward to seeing him play.
I am as well. When will we
see
here?
Win?
Yeah,
we're on win watch.
When this team is ready to win.
Yeah, and when they're ready to no longer see Paul DeYoung.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me. What's his name?
Hannes Wagner.
Is he still?
Oh, you betcha.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know if we had dialed it back just a little bit.
No. He's going to be a Giant or a Dodger, and he's going to find himself in the playoffs, and he's going to provide devil magic. All right, so what do you got?
I'm going to go with the trade deadline, and there are a few teams that are probably in need of some bullpen help, and the Rangers being one, the Braves possibly being one, the Dodgers. And when you look at Jordan Hicks, here's a young man that I have said time and time again is a superstar, has superstar potential. I would love for the Cardinals to reach a deal with him and keep him here because I think he's going to be special. He's going to be a very good baseball player in his future, and he's becoming one right now. Right now, he has 8 saves. Obviously, it's been limited opportunities based on how the season started. But the Dodgers, their leading save getter is at 12 right now. So they may be looking for help. And then you're going to be looking at Jordan Hicks in the playoffs, especially if he goes to Atlanta. I don't know what you would get in return, but they are, I think, looking for some bullpen help. That would make me sick, but I would be extremely happy for him.
I would too. And the Dodgers just make sense because they need a shortstop and they need a reliever. And by the way, with all their starting pitching injuries, they could use a starter too. And they're loaded with young pitching that they probably don't want to use in the playoffs this year, but would be ready for a team to start next season.
I think some of these guys, as frustrating as this season has been, you get traded to a team that has a chance to make the playoffs and win a championship. You got to be like, thank God.
Yeah.
Give me the hell out of there.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt. Yeah, absolutely.
Man.
So you might think I have but I really have
Okay.
Guys. Alec Burleson, the same Alec Burleson who hit 120 with a 465 OPS in June, in July, is hitting 326 with an 824 OPS. And oh, by the way, since the All-Star break, Alec Burleson is hitting 385 with a 962 OPS. We talk about Brendan Donovan, and we talk about Nolan Gorman, and we talk about the switch hitter Dylan Carlson. The Cardinals have another left-handed hitter here in Alec Burleson, and he is performing right now. He's causing more consternation in that front office. Maybe we need to trade 3 outfielders.
I mean, and also it makes it easier to part with Nolan Gorman, right?
It really does. Yes.
Well, no. Because he has to play. He has to play defense too.
Yeah. So there's Nolan Gorman.
Well, he's much better at second base than Burleson is in the outfield. No.
Yeah, that's true.
So I don't.
When Paul Goldschmidt wants to take his days off at first,
Burley.
then there you go. You got Burley right there, ready to go. He's another utility guy we really don't talk about.
We don't talk about him enough. Clearly.
And okay, so I hated when the Cardinals brought him up when he started the season with the ball club. I couldn't. And remember, they sent Juan Yepes out, and Juan Yepes has like a sub 500 OPS in the minors. Okay, Cardinals, you deserve credit for identifying Alec Burleson as a guy who had some talent.
Yes.
So now just trade him.
That's just
now
the
just
rule?
trade him. You said now just trade him.
Yeah.
They're going to keep him around. If they're going to move around outfielders, he'll be your 4th outfielder.
I don't know. I am.
Yes.
How many? What day are we at? We got a week away
24th.
from the
Yes.
trade deadline. 1 week, 8 days, something like that. 7, 8 days.
How many days in July? 31.
31. Yeah.
So 8 days.
8 days.
Yeah.
I don't. I have no clue what the Cardinals are going to do. I mean, I don't know. I have an idea of who's going to be gone. I have no idea what you're going to get in return.
I don't either.
I thought, the Phillies were, a trade partner potentially. They need some help, but they're one of their top prospects just had to go to get Tommy John surgery, and Andrew Painter. So I don't know what you get in return and what you're looking forward to. You got guys in Memphis right now that aren't here. I am not thrilled about prospects. I'll just say that. It just means you haven't done it.
That is true, but that's where the Cardinals are because they've got a bunch of guys that will not be here next year. If they don't trade them, they don't get anything for them. So
exactly.
They're kind of stuck.
It is really interesting. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what the entire division does because did you see, too, the Reds, not getting away too much from bird droppings and bird watch, but do you see that the Reds are willing to part with Jonathan India for a controllable starting pitcher?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's something that the Dodgers should be interested in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they need actually 2 middle infielders for the rest of this year, but not Jonathan India would be a big boost for them. The Dodgers are loaded with young pitching, and I still wonder, guys, if they would be willing to move Walker Buehler. I would take an injured Walker Buehler, and I don't think that they would move him. But if you're the Cardinals and you can load up and give them Hicks, Montgomery, Flaherty, and DeYoung, all 4 for Walker Buehler, I'd do it in a blink. Even though he's hurt and he won't pitch for the rest of this season.
And then
in a blink.
You're going to be sick when it doesn't pan out next year.
He's number 1. I will be sick when he is a number 1 for the Dodgers next year. and I could have had him. But anyway, there you go. That's bird droppings here on 101 ESPN. Next up, news from the Blues. The Blues Hall of Fame voting is set to go live at noon, and we're going to tell you who the candidates are for this year next on 101 ESPN.
You can pretty much find a job anywhere, but finding a lifelong career can be much more difficult. You like working with your hands? Working in different environments? Having options for different kinds of work within your career? Then the Construction Craft Laborers Union of Missouri may be for you. Don't just settle for a job. Build a career. Build a future. Build a legacy. Go to buildunion.com for more information. That's buildunion.com.
Hey, it's BK. Remember that childhood piggy bank, all the satisfaction that you felt when you were finally reaping the rewards of your diligent savings? Well, with TrueHold, you can access your biggest piggy bank ever. The equity in your home. You can start enjoying that retirement that you planned right now, and you don't have to move. Here's how you do it. TrueHold will buy your home for its best current value while that value is still high, and you get to bank all the cash right now while you continue living in your home for as long as you'd like. Plus, TrueHold will cover all the property taxes, insurance, repairs, and maintenance too. And since TrueHold pays your home's current value in cash, it's yours to do whatever you'd like with. You can start enjoying your home's equity while that value is still high. The way to do it is go to truehold.com, and you'll discover how much they'll buy your home for today based on its best current value. Call 1-855-300-9993 or visit truehold.com for the smarter, faster way to cash out on your home's full value without having to move. Visit truehold.com.
Hey, there's so many great things happening at Schnucks, and you need to stop by and check out all of the good things that they have happening at Schnucks, including their Cardinals Cherry Crunch Ice Cream. It's absolutely delicious. It's real ice cream because Schnucks uses real milk and real cream. And wait until you see the Cardinals Baby Blues on the packaging. You're going to absolutely love it. And wait until you see the rest of the flavors that they have, too. Take a look at all the unique flavors of Schnucks ice cream there. Just look for the red Schnucks circle on the carton. Ice cream and the Cardinals. Is there a better summer combo? Schnucks didn't think so. That's why they made Schnucks Cardinals Crunch Ice Cream. You will absolutely love it. Before you walk into Schnucks, don't forget to download the Schnucks Rewards app. Get money back on all the money you spend on your summer essentials. If you're going to have a barbecue next weekend, make sure that you have everything that you need from your local Schnucks store. It's the place to go. Don't forget to check out the new location in Crestwood if you haven't been there. And when you're there, check out that Schnucks Cardinal Crunch Ice Cream.
Stalter back with you for Auto Center's Nissan Herculaneum. Throughout the month of July, you're not going to find a better dealership experience than at Auto Center's Nissan Herculaneum. Over 700 cars in stock in one location, not multiple locations across town. They've got options for everyone to choose from. Brand new Nissans, quality pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs. You got to go visit my friends at Auto Centers Nissan. Go home in your new car and do it today. Here's the best part. They have a 30-day return promise. So 30 days from purchase, whatever reason you need to bring the vehicle back, they're going to give you a full refund at Auto Centers Nissan Herculaneum. They're also going to give you a way to finance the vehicle, too. Good credit, bad credit, it doesn't matter. They have financing options for you at Auto Centers Nissan Herculaneum. So go check them out. New Pathfinders, new Rogues, new Ultimas, new Titans. You're going to love it at Auto Centers Nissan Herculaneum. And don't forget to tell them Anthony Stalter sent you. Again, Auto Centers Nissan, Herculaneum.
Kevin Moret for Mentality Men's Health. Guys, over 20,000 clients have sought treatment at Mentality for low T symptoms. The weight gain, fatigue, and loss of drive they were feeling was actually a decrease in their free testosterone called Free T, the testosterone that actually fuels your body. Our FDA-approved treatment restores your Free T to optimum levels, restoring your energy, metabolism, mental focus, and performance in life. Covered by insurance so any guy can afford it. In St. Louis, go to lowtusa.com. That's lowtusa.com.
Live from the Car Shield studio, this is the opening drive on 101 ESPN. It's time to recap the biggest sports stories of the day on the opening drive with a rush hour reset.
Brought to you by Clubhouse Turf, your exclusive partner of Celebrity Greens. We're redefining private golf.
.902 in St. Louis. Time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. We are halfway home.
What?
We are halfway home.
No, Randy, we get off at 10 a.m.
We do not. We do
What
not.
do you mean halfway?
This is one of those days where Tim McKernan isn't here to fill in for us.
So we have 2 more hours?
So we're going to do our regular schedule until 11 o'clock.
When did this come about?
8:40 this morning, apparently.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Well, we hope that
Look at
Tim's
us.
doing
We hope you
okay.
feel better.
He's not feeling well. Shall we all say a little prayer? Oh, sweet baby Jesus. Please make sure that our friend and coworker, Tim McKernan, is okay on this morning. He called in and he said he's not feeling well. And we know that if Tim is not feeling well enough to work, that there is something seriously, seriously wrong. So, sweet baby Jesus, look over our friend Tim this
He
morning.
was a man.
What do you mean?
That's what the grandpa yells
yeah.
at Will Ferrell when he keeps saying sweet baby Jesus.
Oh, man. In all sincerity, I do hope he feels okay.
Yes, of course. I don't know if Randy's prayer was for that or more for he hopes that he's better for tomorrow so he can fill in for us.
Here's the thing. Tim right now, it's 9:04. He's playing the number 4 at Meadowbrook.
Is that what he's doing?
That's what he's doing.
He's not sick?
Yeah. He's got some green. Yeah, he's turning green. That's
okay.
The Blues Hall of Fame, their inaugural Hall of Fame class last year was fantastic. And this year, the Blues have put their group together for you to vote on at stlblues.com of their potential candidates to go into the second iteration of the Blues Hall of Fame. The second class includes this group that you can vote on, okay? Al Arbor, former Blues player, first Blues captain. Wayne Babich, first Blues player to score 50 goals in a season. You all know the captain, David Backus. Jeff Brown, one of the most prolific offensive defensemen that the Blues had before they got Al McInnes. And great guy, great player. Kelly Chase, who is one of the all-time great people that the Blues have had, one of the great tough guys. The late Pavel Demitra, who was their best player in the late 90s, early part of the 2000s. He was their best guy when they won the President's Trophy in 99-2000. Pavel Demitra was a great player. Grant Fuhr also on the list this year. Barrett Jackman played 13 years, second most games played with the Blues. Curtis Joseph is on the list. I think he'll get a lot of votes, and deservedly so. Mike Liut, arguably the greatest goalie for a long stretch of time in Blues history. Adam Oates was the best assist man in Blues history for a period of time. Larry Patey, one of the best defensive forwards ever. Jacques Plante, one of the goalies in those first 3 years. One of the premier Blues defensemen of all time, Rob Ramage, is on the list, along with Jimmy Roberts, who did everything for this organization. Brendan Shanahan is on the list this year as a Blues Hall of Famer. He's had a couple of 50-goal seasons here. Alexander Steen, who should get a lot of traction. Big Walt, Keith Tkachuk, should be in the regular Hockey Hall of Fame, let alone the Blues Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And then Pierre Turgeon just going into the Hockey Hall of Fame, and Tony Twist is also on the list.
I think Mike Liut is one that I personally think is great. One of like the best goaltenders in the early 80s. And then Pavel Demitra, just his influence. I watched Frank Cusimano had a great piece on one of his Sports Sunday shows on Demitra and his influence with, up and coming, especially Dalibor Dvorsky, that Slavic influence. Right. And the way that he has really, Rocky will laugh because this was a hot topic.
I thought it was the Swedish influence.
No.
Oh, okay.
Where is he from again, Randy?
He's playing in Sweden.
No, but where is he from?
Oh, he was born in Slovakia. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Dvorsky, and then
yeah,
okay. Just double checking.
Well, and then what happened was his parents got a Dvorsky, and then his mom moved him to Sweden.
I see what you did there.
And then Keith Tkachuk, Big Walt, the influence he has on so many young players in the St. Louis area, the fact that he's stuck around, and his own sons are a testament to his work, but just him as a player, too, he deserves it.
For me, I'm Curtis Joseph. You said it. Just watching him as a young man, well, as a child, watching him play hockey was that's my number one on the list. I think, Randy, does it matter how many years they played in a blue uniform?
I think to play. There is. I
know they're on the list, but I'm talking about for you personally when you're looking to select a person into the Blues Hall of Fame. Does it matter if they played 2 to 3 years, or are you looking for more? A little bit more longevity.
I will vote for Adam Oates, who only played 2.5 years.
That's why. That's the name that I.
Would I vote for Gretzky? No, but would I vote for Oates?
He didn't play enough games.
Yeah, they've already retired Gretzky's number anyway. So.
And Kelly Chase, he's not in there.
He's there. He's on the list. Wasn't in the inaugural class.
Oh, okay.
When you look at impact,
this is a loaded class.
It's going to be a hard vote for a lot of people. So,
and how many people are getting in out of that list?
I think it's 5 and a builder, and the builder is not on the list, so or a contributor. So I can give you my 5. Do you want my 5?
Sure. Yes.
And this is right off the top of my head, I think. Well, maybe not. Let me see if I can go back to the text that I gave last night. I think I took care of you guys with
Yeah,
the
you
names.
sent it.
Okay, so let me just find the text here because I don't want to change. I'm not going to change it midstream on you guys. I'm not one of those.
You're not-
What do we call them? Flip-floppers? I'm not a flip-flopper.
You're not going to say that you like strawberry kiwi and say no, you don't.
No.
You're not one of those people.
You have to make an edit on your list though.
Yeah,
and that's the only thing.
So I'm voting for Adam Oates.
Okay.
Mike Liut, Pavel Demitra, Big Walt, and I need to think about this a little bit. Initially, I'm thinking Pierre Turgeon because he was a really good blue. I think I will go with it's between Turgeon and Brownie, and I think I'll go with Turgeon.
See, I have Mike Liut,
Okay, go ahead.
Pavel Demitra. Looking, and now, should I take into account that this will be the fans voting, right?
Yeah, you're a fan.
Okay. Keith Kachuk. Adam Oates.
Oatesy. You wouldn't have Hall & Oates without the Oates part.
That's very true. That's maybe my find, but then again, I don't know the age range that's going to be voting, so I'm trying to take that into consideration.
I am.
Because there's a lot that could be a factor.
I'm going to go Pavel Demitra, Curtis Joseph, Pierre Turgeon, Keith Kachuk, and that leaves me between Adam Oates and Brendan Shanahan. And I think I would go Brendan Shanahan.
Someone texted in from the 636. Yeah, somebody texted in, Walt and Demitra have to go in together. I agree.
Yeah.
That was another thing that Frank Cusimano had in his story was just their relationship together. And that was very, very beautiful to see.
When Pavel would have a great night and get Danny Mac would do the post-game interview, Pavel would always say, I'm very happy. Very happy. So there you have it. And this goes live at noon at stlouisblues.com /Hall of Fame. Or you can just log into your Bluenatics account to cast your vote for the Blues legend you feel is most deserving of being enshrined in Blues history. The voting starts today at noon and then closes on July 31st at noon. So get your vote in now, and we will have a new group of Blues Hall of Famers for 2023. Pretty cool. Next up here on 101 ESPN, we're going to talk to the voice of the Blues, Chris Kerber, get his votes here on the opening drive.
Attention St. Louis. Summoner One is hosting a 2-day print extravaganza you don't want to miss on July 26th and 27th from 8:30 to 4. RSVP today at summoner1.com. That's summoner1.com.
Hey, I want you to know about the Fenton Bar and Grill. If you're looking for a fantastic place for lunch today or this week, head on over to the Fenton Bar and Grill. I had lunch there on Friday, and it was absolutely delicious. Yes, I had the trash wings, and they were fantastic. I went with their signature golden sauce, which is absolutely delicious. And then I had their spectacular, and this is really spectacular, their BLT was fantastic. So head on over to the Fenton Bar and Grill. You can sit on the patio. They've got great ceiling fans. It's nice and cool there. Or if you just want to go on inside, and you can have the greatest servers in the area with Kelly and Colleen, and Jamie is there, and Alicia, and the whole gang is a lot of fun. Megan, you'll absolutely love. You'll love the food. You'll love the ambiance. You'll love the sports at the Fenton Bar and Grill. It's really easy to get to. Just go to the soccer park, put it into your GPS, and head on over. They have all of the women's soccer games, the Women's World Cup. Whenever there's a game on, head on over and watch it at the Fenton Bar and Grill, 701 Rudder Road in Fenton. Learn more at FentonBarandGrill.com and tell them Randy sent you.
If this were a Reese's TV ad, you'd be staring at a Reese's peanut butter cup. And sure, my voice is peanut buttery smooth, but still, you need to see the peanut butter cups, right? No? I can really just say Reese's and you'll go get some? Okay. Reese's. 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 Really working, actually. Reese's. Reese's. I'm on to something. Reese's. 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 Reese's.
Bret Michaels, hot off the stadium tour, now brings you Party Gras 2023 with special appearances by former Journey singer Steve Augeri, Mark McGrath from Sugar Ray, plus special guests Night Ranger and Jefferson Starship. This Friday night, Hollywood Casino Amphitheater. Tickets are on sale now at livenation.com. Don't miss Party Gras 2023, part of the Allegiant Always concert series.
We just told you about the new possibilities for you to vote on for the St. Louis Blues Hall of Fame for 2023. And the voice of the Blues, Chris Kerber, joins us now on the opening drive on 101 ESPN. Brooke, Carey, and Randy. Kerbs, good morning. How you doing?
Randy, I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Doing really well, and it's really amazing in the Blues, 50, how many years, 56 years now? The level of talent that they've had is so remarkable, and it's really hard to whittle down the players that you'd like to be in a Blues Hall of Fame.
It is, and you might remember, because I know you're part of the committee that nominates players as well, and justifiably so. Do you remember a good number of years back, might be 6-7 years ago, when we were originally talking about this in the Ring of Honor, and you were part of a meeting that we had, and with about 6-7, like just even coming up with the criteria of what you have to meet to be considered is a challenge for an organization, whether organizations are trying to figure out how to retire a number, and different rules and things. Like, for example, you say, well, you had to play like 300 games for the Blues to go into the Hall of Fame. Well, if you had to play 300 regular season games, that would eliminate Adam Oates, right?
Exactly.
You're like, well, wait a minute. that doesn't make sense. So, like, just coming up with the criteria is a unique challenge of the process.
It really is. And one of the things I like about this, Kerbs, and we were just talking off the air about Kelly Chase, and one of the qualifications is demonstrated exceptional attributes in the areas of playing ability, sportsmanship, character, and contributions to the St. Louis Blues. If we're going to talk about character and contributions to the St. Louis Blues and contributions to the St. Louis community, Kelly Chase is an easy number one for me.
Yeah, and that's that to me is one of the great things, frankly, about the sport of hockey. Like, you can argue whether or not Scott Mellanby should be in the National Hockey, or it's the Hockey Hall of Fame, not the NHL Hall of Fame. And the reason is that this sport is so much more than just stats and numbers. Character and grit have actually played as much a role in the lore and the necessity of the sport of hockey that, you know, obviously it's just certain numbers guarantee and put you in the Hall of Fame for the, you know, in Toronto finally put Pierre Turgeon in way too late. But they like it's one of those, it's a sport where there are certain factors and intangibles that are hard to put numbers on that play such a huge role. So in this case, you are talking something like Kelly Chase and a Tony Twist and what they meant during an era and things like that frankly could be and should be considered.
Well, Curbs, now we're going to put you on the spot because we've been discussing maybe our 5 that we would vote for, who we think personally. Of course, the fan vote can go a million different ways, but who do you think will be inducted this year?
I'm not going to go into the predictive mode of who I think will be inducted because I have no idea. But what I have no problem telling you who my top 5 were for this year's ballot. I put Jimmy Roberts number 1,
nice.
The very first ever Blue. And when I look at just, you know, what he meant, you're talking about a player that in his career was voted as one of the top 100 Montreal Canadiens of all time. The role that he played, and at the time, remember, well, some fans may not remember, so I shouldn't say that. Like, you know, back in the early days, you didn't have 6 defensemen, you had 4 defensemen on a team. And the fact that Jimmy Roberts could play as both a forward and a defenseman was such a huge part of the success of this franchise those first 3 years that they went to the Stanley Cup final. So, and again, like I said, the first ever Blue, and then what he did with Joe Quenneville on the coaching staff, the character like we just talked about. To me, Jimmy Roberts was for me, number 1. Alexander Steen was Mike Liute was number 2 on my list. I mean, still holds the record for most wins in franchise history as a goalie. That one kind of speaks for itself in terms of how important he was to this franchise before they traded him to Hartford. And then number 3 is Alexander Steen. Now, I had Alexander Steen on my list last year, and I realized that there were some older players that needed to go in and had some other aspects like that. But, guys, when you look at Alexander Steen, you're talking, you know, about a guy that is, top 8 in terms of goals. I think there's only like 7 or 8 players that have hit 200 goals, and he finished with 195. He's like 5th or 6th overall in points, 8th overall in assists, an absolute leader, 12 years with this team, and then, of course, winning a Stanley Cup. Alexander Steen, to me, is a no-brainer for this year.
And by the way, Curbs, because we tend to forget this, there was a 2 or 3 year stretch where Alexander Steen was their best player.
Oh, listen, this is a guy that played every kind of minute, all over the place, was on their top line, absolutely. You know, and you know what's kind of crazy to me, like I was looking at it, the fact that Alexander Steen really didn't get more recognition on a regular basis as a Selke winner or a Selke candidate is mind-blowing. But when he retired, when his career ended, he was 4th on the Blues in games played, 10th in goals, 6th in assists, 6th in points. One of just 6 players to play 300 or to get 300 or more assists with the team. I mean, it's really, he ended up with some franchise great numbers there. So he was then right behind him, or even right with him or above him. Pavel Demitra, to me, is kind of a no-brainer as well. I mean, when we started looking at the offensive numbers that the Blues have put up over the last couple of years, and whether it be back-to-back 70-point seasons, goals, every time you looked it up, we were saying, well, this is the first time since Demitra. It's the first time since Pavel Demitra did it. You know, and Pavel Demitra finished his career with 7th all-time in Blues points and just under 500 games played. And, I mean, we don't know people. Pavel Demitra won the Lady Byng, too, when he was with the Blues, that 99-2000 season. And then my 5th one on my ballot there, Randy, was Curtis Joseph. That goes without saying. I think Liute is to go in before CuJo, but then CuJo. And in the builders category, my 3 recommendations were Susie Matthews, who was the first woman to hold that PR position in professional sports, and such, I think, an important part of this franchise. Mike Shanahan and what he did to help keep this franchise going, and his leadership is so revered by both players and people that worked for him. And Gus Kyle was my third one because he's as legendary as it gets when people still talk Blues hockey.
Curbs, I'm glad you said CuJo. Neither one of these guys had him on their list. I did. When I think of Blues hockey at the old St. Louis Arena, he's one of the first few names that pop into my brain. What made him special?
Well, he was just a fighter. He was an athletic goaltender, and he battled in net. Guys, I believe firmly that Curtis Joseph, beyond the Blues Hall of Fame, Curtis Joseph belongs in the Hockey Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
When he retired, he was fourth all time in wins, and I mean it turns my stomach, to be honest with you, to see Henrik Lundqvist go in on a first ballot and Curtis Joseph still sitting there. Mm-hmm. And the Hockey Hall of Fame had to right some wrongs here. The Hockey Hall of Fame, before they could put the Sedin twins, who were terrific players, two of the best players of their generation, but to put them in the Hall of Fame before Pierre Turgeon, who was the only player with 1,300 points not in the Hall of Fame, just made no sense. They wanted to put Henrik Lundqvist in the Hockey Hall of Fame. To do so, they had to get guys like Mike Vernon and some other goalies in there, which is why you're seeing the Hall of Fame class that you're seeing this year with the Hockey Hall of Fame. Because you couldn't start putting guys like Lundqvist or the Sedins or, frankly, several others that I'm blanking off the top of my head right now without getting some of those others in. Like, there was no more forward until Crosby or Ovechkin retire that should be going into the Hall of Fame before Pierre Turgeon. And so they got that righted. They got Vernon in there this year. So they did some of that, and they had to do that to open the doors so they could put the Henrik Lundqvist in. Curtis Joseph, and the drawback that they're going to say that when you talk to people about this, well, he didn't win any major awards and he didn't win a Stanley Cup. I do not believe that championships is a major criteria for Hall of Fame status when your numbers are as good as his ended up being. And the other factor that you start to have when you start talking Roberto Luongo, Henrik Lundqvist. Now, I know Curtis Joseph towards the end of his career had a few of these. But, guys, like, shootout wins is now a major factor here in totals for these goaltenders, for Lundqvist, for Luongo. Curtis Joseph had a few of them, but nowhere near the number of shootout wins that these guys had. Those guys still played in the league when games ended in a tie. So that's why, to me, Curtis Joseph is a real strong candidate, and will, if not this year, maybe he will this year. It all depends on fan votes, and he was extremely popular. Now, listen, I did have to get past something personal. There was one night I was at a bar down on the Landing, and I was up there with my buddy Paul Rohde, and we were on, I think it was the top level of, it might have been Sundeckers, I think, and it was the place, and we were playing bubble hockey, and I looked to my left, and Curtis Joseph was sitting there with somebody, and I tried to pay him $5 to play goalie for me, and he turned me down. He turned down a free agent contract of $5 to play bubble hockey goalie for me. So, but I got past that, and I think he's a Hall of Famer.
And by the way, to get back to the start of this conversation about how difficult it is, you just listed 5 players, and Keith Tkachuk wasn't one of them. And that shows you how difficult this is.
Yeah, and that's true. And you know what? And Keith Tkachuk is going to be on this ballot, and will be in. Now, I remember if it's, I got to be honest with you, I'm drawing a blank, so forgive me on this, whether it's three that go in and then a builder, you know, but Keith Tkachuk, who still played, 540, I think it might be 543 games, finished 6th all-time in goals, 12th all-time in points, spent 9 years in St. Louis. I just think it's still, like, you've got to put somebody like Pavel Demitra in there, ahead of him and that kind of thing. So, but at some point he isn't there. But you're right. I mean, and you got, like, the thing is, Randy, when we talked about so many greats, because this franchise had different ownership issues over the time, some of those greats just didn't get an opportunity to last as long as they needed. I mean, we didn't get to see the career of Joe Mullen and, let's go back to Michael Houghton and so many others that were moved along because of ownership and financial issues and things that that's why when that criteria comes, we have to almost look at smaller windows and the impact of some of those players. But when you start to get into the area of like an Alexander Steen of 12 years, finished 5th all overall in points. I mean, guys, when you consider who Alexander Steen, for example, was behind when it comes to players with more points than him, you're talking Federico Hall, Gary Younger, Brian Sutter, and then Vladimir Tarasenko. I mean, we're talking some greats that some guys have moved into in terms of the franchise history here.
Curbs, real quick question, off topic of the hockey that's going on. You were at all worried about Saquon Barkley?
Yeah, you know what? Absolutely, I am. I mean, we finally get a chance to get on a roll and get the big blue rolling again. I'll tell you what. And now, Kerry, don't come through the radio at me. I'm gonna put you in a little old school category here, but I don't blame players for this because of the way teams can unilaterally just cut a player just to make salary cap work for somebody else, right? Mm-hmm. But it's amazing to me how diva-oriented running backs have become in a league that has become a passing league.
Ooh, Curbs.
Kerry, I actually think that in some ways the players themselves, and I understand why. I think kind of they overvalue themselves to some degree versus some of the numbers that they put up.
Curbs, I can tell you this. I played running back a couple of games in the NFL, and they deserve every dollar because I woke up with things hurting on me that I didn't even know I had. You got 22 eyes looking at you when the ball is in your hands. So
but you were the one. You did more blocking at the time than these guys did.
I would rather block than run. Trust me.
Yep.
It was painful.
I totally understand why they do it, and I understand contractually why they have to do it. But you got to make your money when you can make your money, and I don't blame an athlete for that whatsoever. It's just if you're the Giants, get the dang thing done so you can continue to build.
Right.
I'm with you.
And Curbs, when it gets handed to you, you've got 22 eyes looking at you, but when you're playing against JPP, only 21 hands trying to tackle you.
Randy, JPP hasn't done anything to anyone on the show.
Aim for the pinky every time.
Hey, Curbs, we can't finish this conversation without you hearing this. Here we go.
Crimmins down on the ice. Down ball. Here comes Shovelday. He'll be thrown out of the game. Shovelday. Now Joseph gets into it. Curtis Joseph grabs Shovelday, and the two goalies go at it head to head. And Joseph with 3 great rights to Shovelday.
It doesn't get any better than that, does it?
Well, it doesn't get any better than that. Kenny's call was excellent with that. And listen, if fans haven't read Curtis's book, CuJo, get it. His story about growing up and how, it is a terrific human interest story. Curtis Joseph is one of my all-time favorite St. Louis Blues. That was my era growing up too. So I'm a huge CuJo honk, even if he did turn me down on that huge fight. I mean, listen, I was a college kid. $5, that's some pretty serious beer money that was laid on the table. I'm not saying he's pulling it. I wasn't saying he pulled a Barkley, but I expected better there, all right?
Right. Curbs, have a great day.
All right, guys, have an awesome week. Thanks.
See you, brother. Chris Kerber, voice of the Blues here on 101 ESPN. Oh, by the way, you can text in now. We've done this before, but if you're named after Curtis Joseph, if your name is like Curtis Joseph, whatever, there are kids here listening now, not kids anymore, but kids that are named after Curtis Joseph or Brett Hull and Brendan Shanahan all over St. Louis. And you talk about an impact on a community when people are naming your kid after you.
That's why I said he was one of the ones when I was going to that arena watching. I was like, oh yeah, he's one of them.
Yeah, he was fun to watch.
Yes.
Coming up next year on 101 ESPN, the latest trade rumors surrounding your St. Louis Cardinals. That's coming your way on the opening drive. Hey, our friends at Chesterfield Fence and Deck are celebrating 55 years in business. They've done great work for each and every one of those 55 years, and that's why I recommend them to you. I had my fence put in by Chesterfield Fence and Deck many years ago. They told me it'd be a lifetime quality product, and it has been. Now, it's a locally owned company. They have been locally owned and operated since 1968, and they have great workers that are going to come out, take a look at your home, do all of the measurements necessary, and then provide you a free, no-obligation project design for whatever you want done, whether it is a fence or a deck, sunroom, screen room, pergola, whatever you're in the market for in terms of an outdoor project, Chesterfield Fence and Deck will have it. They're A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau. Everything is guaranteed with a 5-year labor warranty and comprehensive material warranties as well. You will love working with the people at Chesterfield Fence and Deck. That's the most important thing, is they have great, and they are great people. By the way, tell them the Randy Carricker sent you, and you can get an unbelievable deal. 48 months interest-free financing for this month when you go to Chesterfield Fence and Deck on the web at chesterfieldfence.com. Call 800-300-4054. Chesterfield Fence and Deck, the sign. You have the very best.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Cardinals over the weekend dropped 3 of 4 from the Chicago Cubs in that series up in Chicago. They will face off against the Cubs here in St. Louis starting on Thursday. Between that, they have a series in Arizona facing off against the Diamondbacks. It's an 8:40 first pitch St. Louis time. Tonight, Adam Wainwright back on the bump for the Cardinals in his first start since his return from injury. Also over the weekend, St. Louis City SC falls to Columbus Crew 2-1 in League Cup group play. They will have their second game of their group play coming up on Thursday when they host Club America at City Park. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff. Find new roads and shop 24/7 at londoff.com and londoffautoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
Here's an interesting note for you as the trade deadline in Major League Baseball approaches in 8 days. According to Scott Lauber of the Philadelphia Inquirer, the Philadelphia Phillies remain interested in adding a right-handed hitting outfielder, a corner outfielder. Okay, tell me if you're starting to sense a trend here of the players that the Phillies are interested in. Okay? Randall Grichuk, Lane Thomas, Tommy Pham.
Solid hitting corner outfielders.
Yep. Plus Tyler O'Neill and Dylan Carlson.
Solid hitting corner outfielders. I don't know what you're going for, Randy.
I see
At
a
some
trend.
point, they all had on Cardinal hats.
They did.
There's that.
So, I'll tell you what. Tyler O'Neill is loaded with talent. He is hurt all the time. If I'm the Cardinals and I could get something for Tyler O'Neill tomorrow or the next day or up until August 1st, I would do it. I would be willing, if I were the Cardinals, to move every single one of my potential free agents, plus I would be willing to move Tyler O'Neill, who has a year of control left after this one. By the way, the Dodgers, according to MLB.com, looking to add multiple pitchers and a right-handed bat, and they might be able to do everything with the Cardinals. According to Katie Wu, the Cardinals could move either O'Neill or Carlson and a pitcher to the Dodgers and help the Dodgers out in their pursuit of a division title or a playoff spot, and the Cardinals could get some young pitching back in return.
They need a shortstop as well. You talked about that. They've been been down that position pretty much all season. Paul DeYoung more than likely going to be on the move because of what Mason Wynn has been doing and what the projections are for him. And you talked about relievers. Possibly Jordan Hicks is gone. That may be a team that could give the Cardinals something in return. And like again, as I said earlier, it's not going to be major league ready guys for this season, but for 2024 season, you're essentially punting into 2024 at this point.
Oh, we're punting, especially after this weekend. That's exactly what happened. We were back to reality with the Cardinals. I think it'll be interesting because you brought up a point, Randy, during the break that maybe the Dodgers wouldn't be willing to part with guys because they might just be all in on Shohei.
And they've got two young pitchers that they absolutely love that the Cardinals would like to have too, Emmett Sheehan and Bobby Miller. And they both performed at the major league level this year. But if you're the Dodgers and you don't know how much longer Clayton Kershaw has, you don't know if Buehler is going to be back, Shohei would be one of your starters for next year. But the Dodgers have reached that point now where it doesn't feel like it, but they kind of have a budget. And that's why they didn't go deep into free agency this past season, because they were gearing. They didn't get into the shortstop market. They let Trey Turner walk. They let Justin Turner walk because they were saving up money within a budget to pursue Shohei. And if you're going to do that, if you're going to pursue Shohei and it's going to cost $75 million a year, you're going to need young talent. And that's why I wonder if they might be reluctant to move young talent, and also why I wonder whether or not there would be a possibility that they would move a guy like Walker Buehler, who would fit the Cardinals perfectly.
He would fit the Cardinals perfectly. It would be something that makes perfect sense. How exactly they will pull that off will be interesting to see.
I don't think they will, because I don't think they're as creative as I am. Well, no, I'm just saying. But that's something that I would be able to work out with Andrew Friedman. Let's see if they can do it too.
What do you think about, we talked about it a little bit last week.
Can I give you one other quick point?
Yes.
I'm sorry, Brooke. I'm sorry to interrupt. But Walker Buehler almost got traded by the Dodgers a few years ago. He said last week that he almost got traded, and then they decided to pull back the reins and keep him around. So they've at least thought about trading him in the past, so let's try it again.
That's encouraging. Yeah. It's kind of like the Cardinals. It seems like they're willing to part with anybody now, based off the reports. But what do you believe? I know that Bowden put it out last week that he thinks that Jack Flaherty and Dylan Carlson could go to the Yankees.
That would really surprise me. Now, would it stun me? No, but I don't know that the Yankees at this point have what the Cardinals need in return. Cardinals, they want to compete next year, and they need major league ready pitching. And the problem that the Yankees have right now is that they don't have enough of that to sustain this season for themselves. I know Clayton Beater's name has come up because he's in AAA. I don't think Jim Bowden has a finger to the pulse of what the Cardinals are trying to do here. He doesn't understand that they're really trying to compete in 2024. I'm much more inclined to read Katie Woo's work and listen to John Mozeliak. The Cardinals aren't going to cash in here. And so I don't think that they're going to be trading these guys for a bunch of prospects that aren't going to be around next year.
You don't have. You were talking about Walker Buehler earlier. No concern with him over his elbow. I mean, second Tommy John surgery. That doesn't worry you at all.
Not well, as much as
normally
any other
after
pitcher.
the first one, you feel like
they should be past it.
They should be good.
Yeah,
but that doesn't concern you. That's my fear. You're gonna get. I mean, I want guys that are healthy, that are major league ready. And I don't know that the Cardinals have enough to get that in return unless you're trading away a Nolan Gorman. And I don't want to see Nolan Gorman leave. I think we talked about Walker and Arenado and Goldie as untouchables. Nolan Gorman would probably be the one person that you could get an ace back for right now, a starting pitcher. Miami Marlins might Sandy Alcantara is not performing great, and maybe that's an opportunity. They need another bat. But I don't know that you're going to get anything in return that is healthy and ready to help you come 2024 that you know.
See, that's why I would be willing to gamble on a guy like Buehler, because you're giving up guys that you aren't going to have anyway.
Got you.
So, and he's a guy that, if he's healthy, has the ability to be number one. By the way, other people that have had 2, Tommy John's, Nathan Eovaldi, Jamison Tyone. Izzy had 3, actually, Jason Isringhausen. Hyunjin Ryu of the Blue Jays, and now Buehler is attempting it, and so is Jacob deGrom, by the way. So I think that would be worth the gamble, to trade guys that you aren't going to have for somebody that you may or may not have. That would be my thought process there in calling the Dodgers. And I'm the one that would call them. The Cardinals are probably looking at the younger pitchers. They aren't thinking about making that move.
Yeah,
although they should.
Health is important. We've had too many guys.
Yeah, and by the way, Buehler wants to come back for the final month of the season. So if you're the Cardinals, you just and the Dodgers are reticent to do that, I would just like to give it a shot. All right, those are your trade rumors here on 101 ESPN, manufactured by us. Walker Buehler to the Cardinals. Hashtag Rams to LA. Hashtag Alberts to LA. Hashtag Buehler to STL.
You've got Mbappe.
That was a really good like hashtag storm there. I liked that.
Thank you.
Mbappe.
Send tweet.
Gillian.
Send tweet.
There you go.
I need to send that right now, Randy. Rams to LA.
Pujols to
LA. Buehler to STL. Just tweet that out with no other context. Just do the eyeball emojis like 3 times, and then do those 3 and just see what happens.
At Dodgers, at Cardinals.
Go crazy.
There we go. Rock and roll coming up next on 101 ESPN. Hey, is your air conditioner in your home having a hard time keeping up in the heat? Do you feel like you have hot and cold spots in the house? Well, Hoffman Brothers can handle all of your air conditioning needs this summer Repairs, maintenance, and installation. Call or text 314-664-3011. That's 314-664-3011. And Hoffman Brothers will help you out. They're an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer, and they're more than happy to help you out all the time, especially if you're a home protection plan member. What you need to do with that, for as little as $34 a month, you can join the club. As part of their home protection plan, you not only get 2 semi-annual visits on your heating and cooling system, but free filters shipped to your home. You get discounts across all of their home service lines: heating, cooling, plumbing, electrical, sewers, drains, and appliances. The best part? You can schedule your service online 24/7 at HoffmanBros.com. Call to join the Hoffman Brothers Club today. Hoffman Brothers is easy to find on the web at Hoffman Brothers, Hoffman Bros, HOFFMANN, HoffmanBros.com, or 314-664-3011. All right, Matthew Rocchio, what do you got for rock and roll today?
Well, considering we already had a little bit of Kerry getting kind of in his argument, in his feels about the LeBron James, or the GOAT argument, I should say, Michael Jordan, because somebody was trying to throw John Havlicek in. And so I thought it would be perfect to bring this up. This was actually late last week that this actually hit. LeBron James was being interviewed, and he got asked a question about the bubble back a few years ago when they won the championship. Kind of why, the bubble, winning the championship there, people kind of take it away from you. And LeBron had his comments on the bubble. And on the back end of this, you'll hear some other thoughts on the bubble from another NBA player, Steven Adams, who had a different opinion than LeBron on the bubble.
And if you were not in a bubble, you don't quite understand it. This is literally out of your whole comfort zone.
No family, no
family. I didn't see my family for 8.5 weeks. In my room, literally seeing the walls like this, like The Shining.
Just blood.
Just like blood coming down my walls.
Just overall, your thoughts on life inside the bubble right now.
That's all good, mate. Let's be clear, mate. This is not Syria, mate. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that hard. It's not that difficult, mate. You know what I mean? We're living in a bloody resort.
There were a lot of players who said that it was a cakewalk. It was some of the easiest basketball they played. Jimmy Butler was selling cups of coffee for $20 a day and made bank during the bubble, but apparently Ron was struggling.
I mean,
that was
in fairness, how big do you think that room was? I mean, the room that he's in, it's a hotel room, right? So it's not his home. It doesn't have all of the comforts of his home.
It's probably nice. Why did he compare it to The Shining? Wait, why was there blood on the walls? That's a very weird comparison.
What he went with is that it kind of reminded him of The Shining with the blood on the walls.
Red Rahm.
Yeah, that's not great.
That's one of my favorite movies, actually. I love that little kid with his problems where he's Red Rahm.
Your takeaway from a horror movie is I love that little kid with his problems.
Yeah, that stuff. That was
okay then.
That was very dramatic. I mean, I don't doubt that there was a lot of hardships with that, but that was a little much, right? It was a little much.
Yeah, I mean, to each his own. It's probably, but never mind.
Here's my thing about LeBron.
Any LeBron, woe is me stuff doesn't fly.
What Michael Jordan would have been doing? He'd have been staying up to 6 a.m. playing cards, beating everybody in cards, and showing up in the bubble ready to play.
If there was a bubble, Michael Jordan would have gotten mouth cancer from the cigars. He would have just power chain smoke throughout the bubble. But here's my thing. I thought LeBron learned his lesson. about how, putting yourself in front of the spotlight isn't always the best thing. Boys and Girls Clubs, the announcement. I thought he'd kind of learned, okay, I'm a tone it back. I'm just going to let my play speak for me. Even, I'm going to be the big time player, but I'm not going to step out of my comfort zone like I did that day. And I thought he learned that lesson. And apparently he gets to LA, and I guess Hollywood just erases any kind of lesson you learned from that.
I will give LeBron credit. He is doing a fantastic job with his school. He gave away free rent to all of the people that are attending, all of the children's families that are attending his school. So you got to give credit where credit is due. He does some really great philanthropic things in his community and throughout the
announcement was also a charity. The announcement was a charity event. He raised a bunch of money for the Boys and Girls Clubs of Akron, but no one talks about that. It's just look at the ego of LeBron that day. That's my point.
I think he does. I think he does a good job. Sometimes some things can be, misconstrued in how he goes about it, but I think I think deep down inside he has a great heart. Just not the greatest basketball player to ever play the game, and that's okay. It's okay.
That's fine.
Only one person can be.
It's only one,
and that's John Havlicek.
Hell no.
No, did we not? Is that not where we came down on that argument?
That texter is alone. He stands alone on that.
All right, fair enough. One other quick thing: Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, Christian McCaffrey, Josh Jacobs all got on a Zoom to try to figure out this whole running back problem. They said they didn't come up with any concrete plans, but then Nick Chubb also joined the call. He said, we're kind of handcuffed in a situation where the only position that our production hurts us the most, if we go out there and run 2,000 yards with so many carries, the next year they're going to say, you're probably worn down. It's tough. It hurts us at the end of the day. Do you see a light at the end of this running back tunnel, Kerry Davis?
No. I mean, the value of that position, it's unfortunate because people will always assume that they can get someone else to do your job. That holds true for every position in the NFL, but right now running backs are feeling the brunt of that, just not getting the representation that they deserve or desire. I think, that position is one of the toughest positions in the NFL. It truly, I promise you, when I carried the football, the amount of hits that you don't see, the amount of hits that you don't know are coming, it's tough to play that position and excel at it. So they deserve to be paid, but I don't see a path to them getting the money that they deserve.
Yeah, you have to know, all the offensive line calls up front. You're part of the pass protection as well. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it. So I agree with you that it's a position that requires so much.
Yep, it is. And they're hitting the nail on the head. They can get 2,000 yards this year, and then somebody's going to come back and say, "Yeah, well, you won't get it again because no one has."
I think you're being a little extreme. I mean, I hear tell that you can just ask Hall of Fame quarterbacks, what am I doing on this play?
You can, but you shouldn't if you want to play.
Here's what you're looking at.
Work for everybody.
Here's the thing. If you're thinking about, you sign a quarterback to a 5 or even an offensive lineman to a 5 or 6 year contract. 5 years ago, 2017, NFL rushing. The 5 leading rushers in the league were Kareem Hunt, Todd Gurley, Le'Veon Bell, LaShawn McCoy, Mark Ingram. After that, Jordan Howard, Melvin Gordon, Leonard Fournette, C.J. Anderson, Ezekiel Elliott. And the problem is that
8 of them guys not in the league anymore, right?
Right. Yeah. So if you don't, that's 2000. Let's take a look at the next year. Let's look at 2018. Leading rushers in the league. So 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. 5. So versus last year. Leader last year, that year, 2018, Ezekiel Elliott, who's no longer in the league. Saquon Barkley. David Johnson.
No.
Is he in the league anymore?
I don't think. No. Yeah, he might be, but he's not. He doesn't have a prominent role.
Or knee.
Gurley. Now, Peterson is the exception here because he was old, right? But then Jordan Howard of the Bears again, who is in the league. Chris Carson of Seattle. I don't think he's in the league anymore. Joe Mixon and Peyton Barber. So you're looking at the top.
That 2019?
That's 2018.
And that's 2 players who are still.
Yep.
Who are still consistent running backs right now in the NFL.
Right.
In Barkley and Mixon, who are both rookies? Or second-year players?
Mm-hmm. Right.
One of
the 2? The 2019 group has lasted. Top 3 that year, Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb, and Christian McCaffrey. But then after that, Ezekiel Elliott, Chris Carson, Lamar Jackson, Leonard Fournette.
Josh Jacobs.
Josh Jacobs was 8, Mixon was 9, and Dalvin Cook, who's unemployed at the moment, 9 as well. So You can see from an owner's standpoint, they say, why should I give a guy a bunch of guaranteed money over the course of 5 years when 5 years from now he's not going to be a part of my deal?
And you look at a team like Detroit, who both of their running backs aren't even on the roster from last year. Right. You got Jamal Williams, who led the NFL in rushing touchdowns. DeAndre Swift, who did a fantastic job when healthy. They just said, all right, see you guys later. We'll move you and allow us to bring someone else in. It's no loyalty in the running back game right now. And I don't know, again, I don't know what the answer is. I mean, you can not pass block and see how that works out for you. Say, see if you're going to pay me if I don't pass block. But probably won't get paid for that either.
I wonder if like back in like 2017, all the middle linebackers and outside linebackers are kicking themselves like, man, why didn't we get together on Zoom and figure out our values going down? How can we turn this around?
Well, you get outside linebackers, they just rush the quarterback.
And I just think personally, and maybe this is why I'm biased because obviously of Derrick Henry with the Tennessee Titans, but I mean, look at what happened with the Titans last year without Henry. I mean, look at what happened. Look at Christian.
Just plug and play that position.
And what about Christian McCaffrey and how he changed things for the 49ers?
Right.
That's what I think helps that in their case moving forward.
Yeah. By the way, I want to go back to that group of rushers from 2017 because there is something that's interesting here. So that group of rushers was Bell, McCoy, Gordon, Gurley, Howard. Okay, but if you go to passing yards that year, Brady, Rivers, Stafford, Breeze, Roethlisberger, Ryan. One of the top 6 passers from 2017 are still playing. Oh, those guys were 40, 36. Stafford was 29, 38, 35, and 32. But you don't see many running backs that are 38 years old.
No.
We've got a balloon party next on 101 ESPN.
All right, so it's been good show.
It's been a great show.
We're doing the balloon party.
No. It's 10 o'clock. Right? It's
Tim McKernan is not filling in for us today.
The hell are you talking about?
Carrie.
What are you
call to the bullpen.
For who? Who's
We're in the
coming
bullpen
in?
today.
Oh.
I feel like Genesis Cabrera right now.
Plus 4. I need 4 to the mound. I need 4 to the mound.
Andre Palante.
Right. Yeah, we're gonna.
Genesis Cabrera.
Things will blow up on us in a hurry. Hey, if you're a guy and your energy level isn't what you want it to be, if you were fatigued over the course of the weekend and you weren't able to get through those runs or bike rides or workouts like you used to be able to do when you were younger, it could be an issue with low T, and it's an issue that can be solved by Mentality, a local clinic. They're in Chesterfield and in South County that will restore your testosterone level because, guys, normally when you pass the age of 30, your testosterone level drops, and that causes your energy level to drop. Well, at Mentality, they're going to do a complete panel on your blood work to find out where your testosterone level is, and then they're going to provide you an FDA-approved testosterone supplemental treatment that will bring your testosterone level back to normal. And this is the high end of normal. That normal range for a guy is pretty dramatic, and they're going to get you back to that high end of normal for your testosterone level so that you can feel great. Just go to their great website, lowtusa.com. Pretty much everything covered by insurance. They'll work with your insurance company at Mentality. Get started today at lowtusa.com. 10:06, time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. I'm going to be at the Side and Stricker Nobby Partners tent sale Friday from noon to 2. It's happening at the St. Louis Premium Outlet Mall parking lot in Chesterfield. It's the final weekend of their sizzling summer sales event featuring great savings and great financing available with an easy on-the-spot application process. Come out and talk to their John Deere sales professionals to find the best equipment for your property this Friday, noon to 2, with me at Side and Stricker Nobby Partners tent sale in Chesterfield at the Premium Outlet Mall. And we look forward to being out there with Side and Stricker Nobby on Friday. All right, some NFL news and notes this morning in practice. Lions DB C.J. Gardner-Johnson carted off the field during practice, a non-contact injury, and it looks like he was in pretty bad shape if he had to be carted off.
Yeah, those are never good. Anytime it's non-contact, generally, that – and it's a knee injury, you automatically think ACL, it's probably popped, or you hope that that's not the case, but you just don't know. But non-contact injuries scare you the most because it's your body telling you, okay, I've had enough, and it's time to go rest. Yep. That's generally how it goes.
Bad start to training camp for the Chiefs. Their defensive tackle, Chris Jones, who led defensive tackles in sacks last year, is sitting this one out early in training camp. And also, Kadarius Toney, in a shocker, left practice with a knee injury.
Yeah, that's a shocker. I think when you're looking at the D-line, that he wants to be paid. It's time. Chris Jones wants the Quinnen Williams money, the Aaron Donald money, and so hopefully they can come to an agreement because he's a vital part to what they do defensively, getting after the quarterback, as you said, and creating havoc for opposing offensive lines and quarterbacks when they're playing. That's what gets that Chiefs offense to get back on the field and have as many drives and many opportunities as they do.
He signed 3 years ago a 4-year, $80 million contract. And now, because he's under contract, Chris Jones will be subject to a daily fine of $50,000, according to the CBA. And it used to be that a team, like when Steven Jackson held out from the Rams in 2006, I believe it was, no, maybe 2007, they were able to waive that fine. But with the latest CBA, a team is not allowed to waive the fines when a player is under contract and isn't in camp. Saquon Barkley isn't under contract because he hasn't signed. Josh Jacobs. But when you're under contract, you get fined.
$50,000 a day.
A day.
It runs up pretty quickly.
Yeah.
There you go. I mean, he might have to start thinking about it at some point.
I wonder how their cap situation is. I wonder if they need to sign, if they're going to give him a new deal, I wonder if they need to give the quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, a new deal first.
Restructure his deal?
Yeah, to provide them more cap room because they didn't have enough cap room to sign DeAndre Hopkins.
Well, not to the number that I'm sure he wanted. He got 15 a year.
Right, which is probably the raise that Chris Jones would want, you would think.
Yep.
So there's a lot to see in Kansas City. A couple of other things. Bryce Young signed his contract. No surprise there. He is under contract and ready to go for the Panthers. And Jimmy Garoppolo passed his physical, so he is going to be, good.
Good job, Jimmy G. All 4 of those games you're going to play. Week 4 or 5.
All right, here's the question then with the San Francisco 49ers.
8 games for Jimmy G.
I was gonna throw out a different name, but I like that one. I was gonna say by which week have they played all 3 quarterbacks?
The 49ers?
Yes. By which week have they played all 3 of Jimmy Garoppolo, Brock Purdy, and Trey Lance?
Not Jimmy.
Jimmy G's with the Raiders.
Brock Purdy, Sam Darnold,
Sam
Trey
Darnold.
Lance.
Sorry, I don't know why I said Sam Darnold. I was thinking about that with the 49ers.
I say week 12.
Oh, I like that.
I think that's a good over-under.
Yeah.
And I will go with that. I'm going to say the under, though. I'm going to say before week 12, they played all 3.
Wow.
Yeah.
They just can't. They just roll them out there?
I think Darnold starts the season. Purdy gets healthy, and then Purdy gets hurt. But when Purdy gets hurt,
you give Trey Lance an opportunity.
Coming in. Yeah.
Before week 12?
Yes.
Wow.
And then you said week
over
8?
Under week 8. Let's say week 9 for Jimmy G. Injured.
It's before.
I wouldn't have any reason to disagree with you.
He makes like I think maybe week 6. It'll be week 6.
Hey, how about Kirk Cousins? What do you see him doing?
No,
what do we got?
We're not doing.
Here's the thing,
because there's a texter from the 636 that is a huge Vikings fan, and every day
Kirk Cousins,
and every day, even when we're not talking football, we hear about Kirk Cousins and the Minnesota Vikings. What are your thoughts on the Vikings winning the
Winning
NFC
what?
North division this season.
I believe they can.
They don't have a running back, Randy.
They have Alex Madison.
They don't have the guy that they've had the last few years.
They don't have Dalvin Cook, but that's okay because, Kerry, they have Kirk Cousins.
Okay.
No. Do they have Adam Thielen anymore? No. Do they have Justin Jefferson? They still have him.
Got him.
Do they still have T.J. Hawkinson? Is he still playing tight end for them?
Jordan Addison.
Jordan Addison.
Drives
He's
really
fast.
He drives really fast, too.
Yeah.
Well, Randy,
140.
Counter argument for the past 5 seasons, Kirk is a top 5 passer in passer rating, completion yards, and touchdown, but he gets no credit for that. And when you look at his passing and blocking is the bottom of the barrel, and Cook had top 20 run blocking. This guy is very angry and says Kirk Cousins gets no credit.
Because 100% right. For some reason, and I think this came from it's kind of an ESPN Pro Football Talk thing. Sometimes you get labeled and people don't really look at the numbers. They just look at the fact that you haven't won a Super Bowl if you're a quarterback, and they say, oh, well, it's all on you.
Kirk Cousins did fantastic things. He was wearing the chains on the plane. Yep. He was doing the dance with his teammates. He has done some outstanding things in his career, right, Rocc?
You like that? You like that?
There you go.
You like that?
Is it bad that that's probably the thing he's known most for?
You like that?
You
like that?
Yeah, you'd like to win some more playoff games and some more. Didn't he just win his first primetime game in the last couple of years? He'd been like 0-9 in primetime.
Didn't they get cheated against the Rams though? Wasn't that them? That was.
Oh no, the Vikings.
Yeah, wasn't that the Vikings or was that the Saints? Oh, it was the Saints. They lost. Did they lose to the Vikings?
You're thinking of the
Saints?
You're thinking of the Saints bounty gating to beat the Vikings.
Oh, that was years back.
That was Brett Favre.
That was Brett Favre.
Yeah.
Out of Southern Miss.
So those are your NFL news and notes here on 101 ESPN. Now, we're going to be honest with you here because our show is about honesty. We found out at like 9:40.
We don't know what the hell we're doing next year.
Yeah. So
what do we talk about?
We've got a highly paid producer who had a birthday yesterday and is really...
He's working here.
He's
got his birthday
going.
chicken. Are we doing the snacks or no?
Oh, yeah,
when
snacks
is that?
next. Your 5 favorite... Is it 5 favorite?
Top discontinued snacks.
Top discontinued snacks.
That you would bring back.
Okay, and it doesn't have to be, like candies. There's any snack that you like.
Yeah, just anything.
Okay.
You're thinking something like Coach McGarry. You're thinking like there's nothing I can think of, but something's gonna hit you. You're gonna look and be like, 12-year-old me was so angry when this got taken away. There's gonna be something on the list, Carrie. I guarantee.
I got mine.
I guarantee you, Carrie.
Realize it.
I got mine, and the bulletin is coming your way next on 101 ESPN.
How does everybody say it?
I say Reese's.
Okay.
All right, so back in my day, there was this Entenmann's chocolate fudge cupcake. It was cream filled and it had like a half-inch of really hard chocolate shell on top, and they were delicious. And yes, did it help me get to 270 pounds? It did. But if I had to do it all over again, I would, because they were that good. But Entenmann's, sadly, has discontinued these cupcakes, and they aren't around anymore. So the question of this segment is, what are your favorite discontinued snacks that if you could have today, you would love to have back? What do you guys got?
Okay, I'll get us started. Trix yogurt. It's going to be 5. I love Trix yogurt.
Disgusting.
You don't remember Trix yogurt?
Disgusting.
What?
Unbelievable.
No, it was amazing.
How is that your leadoff hitter?
No, I'm saying this is 5.
By the way,
okay?
low-key, people, I don't think people would expect it. But Brooke is the low-key, the fast food expert on the show, I think.
I am. I will say.
Or chain restaurant, maybe just chain restaurant expert, I should say.
My dad has an amazing metabolism and has low cholesterol and can eat whatever he wants. And he is huge into fast food. So growing up, I also had the same metabolism, especially being a teenager. And we would just go and eat so much fast food. So I'm kind of a fast food connoisseur. I mean, we loved everything. Jack in the Box and their tacos and, I mean, all of that stuff. So I said Trix, right? Trix yogurt.
That's a good one.
And then for the snack wraps from McDonald's.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah.
Those were so good.
Those were good.
Those. Yeah. Okay, wraps from McDonald's. The Reese's Swoops. Do you guys remember those?
No, what is a Reese's?
Those were great.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Swoop?
Yeah, it looked like a chip, basically.
Oh, yeah.
But it was just like solid. It was just like solid chocolate.
Yeah,
I
essentially.
don't remember those.
I need that right now.
And then 2. Now this is kind of a snack, because I like to eat a lot of food. The Taco Bell Mexican pizza.
That was really good.
They're coming back.
Oh, and you know what?
Is it coming back?
I think they might have brought it back already. I think it was.
Did they really?
I think it was like a few months ago they brought it back.
And then number 1 for me, Dunkaroos. That was like one of my favorite snacks
Like
Are those
of
not
all
around
time.
anymore?
I've seen like some, I don't know if it's like the actual real brand they've brought back, but I have seen like some at like Deerbergs and Schnucks.
If I opened up my lunch and my parents had bought Dunkaroos that week, I was a winner that week. There's nothing could bring me down. I was on cloud 9.
Dunkaroos.
I was on cloud 9 100%.
Along the lines of the Mexican pizza at Taco Bell, what about the grilled stuffed burrito?
The grilled stuffed
The grilled
burrito.
stuffed burrito had everything in it, and it was they put it on the grill. It's gone. Yeah.
Really?
See, my first answer was going to have Taco Bell as well, because they had a run there. I don't remember the exact name. I don't think it was called Snack Wrap. It was something like that. But they had a run, the Grillers. That's what it was, where there was like a 10-year solid thing where like you could get one of 3 like little like wraps, and they were like $1.39 a pop. And there was like a potato one, a beef one, and then like a crunchy one or a spicy one or something like that. Those things were incredible. I lived off that stuff in college. I need that to come back. Need a solid $1 menu option at Taco Bell. Come on now.
I love Taco Bell.
It's good for you.
The Taco
Crunch
Bell,
Wrap Supreme,
the Taco
chicken
Bell,
quesadilla.
I have not been to a Taco Bell that doesn't take forever.
Well,
I
that's
sat
true.
in Taco Bell line, so I literally sat there for 45 minutes.
Carrie.
I got to the window and I asked her, "Do you really think I'm going to pay for this?"
Carrie, they're giving you lettuce, tomatoes. It's the healthy option. It's going to take a little bit longer.
No, hell no. No, thank you.
45 minutes is nothing to enjoy Taco Bell.
I did get it for free,
It's
though.
worth it.
It was given to me for free. She said,
Worth
"No,
it.
I'm not going to make you pay." Thank you, ma'am.
All right, everybody else's top 5?
I got a few. This one, when I saw this one, it just did something to my heart. I don't know if you all remember this, Randy. You may. Crystal Pepsi.
Oh yeah,
I saw that.
that was good.
Man,
Was it really?
That was really good.
I've always
Crystal
wanted to
Pepsi?
taste it. Was it different than regular Pepsi?
It was.
It was.
It was super sweet.
Yes, Crystal
Really?
Pepsi
Yeah.
was.
Well, Pepsi's
was,
already sweet.
Yeah, buddy. Crystal Pepsi was really good.
It was delicious.
I got Snack Wells, the Devil's Food. Do you all the little cakes,
yeah.
the green
Those were
box?
great,
Those
yeah.
were really, really good. Squeeze It, the juice box that you know what I'm talking
They're
about.
still out there.
Are they still out there?
They're still out there. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah.
I haven't seen one.
Still impractical. Still very impractical and overpriced.
Butterfinger BBs.
Yes. Thank you so much, Carrie.
Wait, let me look
That
at
is
that.
Butterfinger BBs.
the different forms of candy. Like, not like you have the regular candy bar, but then the ways that they split off, those ones are always better, like in one way, shape, or form. And Butterfinger BBs is a great example.
I remember, because this was great for the movie theater.
That's the thing. You go to the movie theater now, you still have cookie dough, you still have Bunch of Crunch, but Butterfinger BBs are not there anymore, and that's a crime. You're 100% right.
And then I'm going to go with one that usually makes it comes back and forth. It's not really a snack, but you talked about snack wraps. It's the McRib for me.
I've never had that one. I always miss it.
I don't know why. It's just, it does something for me. It's probably terrible, but it's okay.
Is it really a rib?
Is it good?
That's the $1 million question.
Something lathered in sauce.
So do you guys remember, this is from my day. You guys might not remember this. They used to have Dr. Pepper flavored bubble gum.
What? No, I don't remember that.
It was fantastic.
Really?
Yeah, it was delicious.
I've never had that.
It was fun. What do we got on the text line, Matthew? I bet people are weighing in here, huh?
Shark Bite fruit snacks. Again,
I remember those.
I wonder how many of these are discontinued and how many of these are just like you're 35 and you don't have kids yet, so you're not buying like snacks for your kids yet.
Oh, believe me, I still look around for those
How about
snacks.
this for the ultimate in decadence? And I haven't seen these, but I must confess I haven't shopped for them lately. But Dolly Madison used to make these chocolate pudding pies. You know how like you have the Hostess apple and Hostess cherry? Dolly Madison had these chocolate pudding filled pies, and they just had to. They were the most ridiculously decadent, fattening, bad for you things in the world, but I loved them. So if those still exist, because I haven't seen them in a long time, tell me where I can get them, because those were great. The Dolly Madison chocolate pudding filled pies.
Somebody says pudding pops, but I think those
pudding pops
probably died.
Probably
went the other way for a reason. I have another one, and this is less of an item, just kind of like the way things changed. Why is there no such thing as like a good dollar menu anymore?
It's not a dollar
like
anymore.
Make it $1.50 menu then, but just stop.
Pretending?
Yeah, like this isn't real. Like a McDouble used to be on the dollar menu.
Good
and
times.
now a McDouble's like $2. now a McDouble's like $2.50.
Good times.
And I don't understand what they're doing to us,
It's
Carrie.
called inflation.
And still though, Randy, there's got to be something. Hey, dollar pizza slices in New York are now $1.50 pizza slices. I'm against it, but I understand it.
You used to be able to get Arby's cheddar and what is it, beef and cheddars for like $1.30. We had our fill.
Somebody threw in
now those are 4 for $10.
Somebody threw in KFC Chicken Littles and also the KFC Double Down.
Chicken Littles.
The Double Down was a dark time in American history. Do you guys remember what the Double Down was?
No.
It was a chicken sandwich that had no bun, but it was just 2 pieces of chicken with cheese in the middle.
I do remember that.
That was a dark time in America. We were like, you know what? What if we just had chicken as the buns for the chicken sandwich?
Oh, candy cigarette. I will agree.
Oh, yeah. Those were fun.
Cigarettes.
Candy cigarettes. You used to,
Those were great.
Cigarettes.
you used to pretend like you were smoking a cigarette.
Yeah.
Let me see this.
It was
When
candy.
did those get discontinued?
Oh, I don't know.
I think you can still at some of those old candy stores. You can get them. Yeah.
Somebody threw out 3D Doritos, the original ones. Do you guys remember those?
I don't remember those.
They came in like
Yes,
a
I remember.
hard plastic casing, and they were and it was literally just like it was like you took 2 Doritos, fused them together. There was nothing like in the middle. It was just air. It was the weirdest thing in the world.
But they're 3D. That's so cool.
Somebody says giant pixie sticks. Again, I just don't think I just don't think your parents are
Pixie
taking you to a
sticks.
carnival anymore. I have a feeling if you go to a carnival, there's going to be a giant pixie stick somewhere alongside the funnel cake.
I'm good with pixie sticks. I would do a pixie sticks before I did the cotton candy. That is absolute.
Do you guys know what a Chocodile was?
Yeah.
Chocodile was a chocolate covered Twinkie.
Yep.
Yeah, back in the day, Chocodiles.
I don't remember that.
I don't remember that.
Those were good.
Here's one that was recent, and I don't know why they stopped making it. Came out in 2007, discontinued in 2008. The Reese's Elvis peanut butter and banana cream cup. Peanut butter and banana cream.
Peanut butter and banana cream?
It was fantastic. It was a Reese's with banana cream, and it was Elvis inspired, and it was delicious. And I have no idea why they didn't turn that into like an American legend. It would have been.
Another good one, Altoid sours. Mango sours. You remember those?
I don't remember
I thought Altoids were breath mints.
No, you don't remember the mango sours?
Oh, I do remember,
You remember
those.
it?
Yes.
These, and why hasn't?
Yes.
Okay, I get that you're not going to make them anymore, but like somebody copycat that, please.
Yeah, I remember
because those
that.
are amazing.
Yeah.
Somebody says in the YouTube chat.
I need a Crystal Pepsi. Now that I've seen it, I want one. I don't know how. It's probably not going to be good to
Somebody
drink.
says in the YouTube chat, hey, T-Mac, you look different. You're looking good.
Wait, Choco Tacos are discontinued?
Oh, yeah, they did get rid of Choco Tacos. I remember that hitting the news a few years ago.
my
That was a good
gosh.
frozen treat. You're right.
Those are delicious. Why
Those
did you
were
get
so
rid
good.
of those?
Do you
I'm
remember
sure.
the
back when they
bubble gum, the
tape?
The tape?
The bubble tape?
Yeah.
I was going to answer that one because that's a go-to. Here's the thing. I can't be the only kid who I couldn't have bubble tape because I could never chew it. I would just eat it.
You would swallow the gum?
Dude, bubble tape. I would eat bubble tape like it was supposed to be just eaten like it was a candy, not like it was a bubble gum.
No.
I would take like 6 feet down in a few hours.
I don't think that's what you were supposed to be doing.
I don't think you were either, but I can't be the only kid. It was impossible to chew. It was that good tasting. I swear.
Amazing.
I swear it was that good.
Good talk here on the balloon party
job,
here
bro.
on 101 ESPN.
Yeah, we're getting to the important stuff.
This is what really matters here.
Yep. Okay, so what do you want? Oh, we're doing an SC.
Yeah.
SC playing the Crew. Game got started late, so it was delayed. And if you didn't hear earlier, they once they got going and the game was live, they had 2 live Crew.
Oh my gosh.
You improved on the delivery over the last 2 hours, Randy.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You improved on the delivery.
I didn't know where you were going, but I'm glad you went there.
All right, so City SC next on 101 ESPN.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Cardinals over the weekend dropped 3 of 4 to the Chicago Cubs in Chicago, including a 7-2 loss on Sunday. They are back in action tonight against the Arizona Diamondbacks in Arizona. It'll be an 8:05 first pitch here in St. Louis. Adam Wainwright on the bump for the Cardinals since his return from the injury. Also over the weekend, St. Louis City SC falls 2-1 to Columbus Crew. The game started almost 4 hours after the initial starting time because of weather delays, and then in the 11th minute, Lucas Zelarayan put Columbus Crew up for good 1-0. They added the second goal in the 29th minute from a penalty kick, and St. Louis City never got much closer. They are back in action on Thursday for the second game of their group stage match in the Leagues Cup, facing off against Mexican Club America. That is your Sports Center update, brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
All right, a rough one last night for St. Louis City SC as they fall to Columbus in non-MLS action, by the way. It was a 2-1 final, match on the pitch delayed by a storm. And Matthew, you were telling us during the break that there is, even though this doesn't count towards the MLS standings and making the playoffs, there is a reason for St. Louis City SC to make their best effort to succeed this weekend. That means putting their best team on the field.
Yeah, there was some consternation after last night's game where, again, they did sit some players who deserved a rest in Roman Berkey and Tim Parker. And the people were like, listen, it's a club match. You shouldn't care that much that they lost. The only difference with this one as opposed to other club matches that makes me wonder kind of how different it could be is that other club matches, you get right into the league schedule that weekend or the middle of that week. The problem here is if you get bumped out of the group stage on July 27th, you're not playing a soccer game again until August 20th. And so I just wonder, if you don't play in this one, 100% rest for 3 straight weeks. Yeah, it's good for guys like João Klaus who weren't going to be on the pitch anyhow, but how much can you really dial in that final stretch, that final 12-game stretch they have once they come back to the end of the season in the playoffs? How much can you really dial in if you're completely cold without any competitive soccer for almost a full month? I feel like that is really the issue with losing that first game of the group stage.
Well, getting healthy is important. Making sure everyone is on the same page. We talked about how long Klaus has been out. I think we desperately need to get him back into the fold, so I think that'll be good. And, we talked to Bradley Carnell about what was the plan for this during the All-Star break, during this time off, and just making sure guys are obviously rested but ready to roll when the regular season rolls back around.
Yeah, so that's the tricky part. But you have the injured players who are going to be on the training pitch no matter what. And to take away the opportunity for a João Klaus or an Edward Leuven to get more time. Leuven got about 60 minutes. He's not even 100% yet. Yeah. So, he needs another game to kind of get up to that full 90%. And so if it's just, again, July 27th through August 20th, I worry a little bit about how you hit the ground running again.
Well, you're going to be training. You're going to be working. And so you can probably have – I don't know if – when guys are veterans, they understand the work it is required to play at that level. They have to be healthy. I think that's the most important thing, is being healthy, so you can have that stretch run down towards the end of the season where guys are all there, all in the fold, and ready to play at the highest level that they are capable of.
What did you think? And like you said, there was consternation about the lineup. No Roman Berkey last night. No Kyle Hebert last night. So what did you think of the way that Bradley Carnell deployed his group?
Yeah, you had to give Roman Berkey the game. He was off for the All-Star, or he had to play during the All-Star break when the rest of the team didn't. Mm-hmm. And he's literally played every game except for the cup match against Chicago, which also Ben Lunt played and also didn't go that great for City. But you had to give him a day off. You had to give him a little time. And you can't bank on the fact that, let's say, you do win that game and you beat Club America, or you just go through the group stage and you have a bunch of these other weeks. Well, you're going to want to you're going to want to splash him in there to keep him kind of healthy before August 20th. So I think it makes sense the other ones, people are complaining about the match because they're watching these other matches, and teams are playing, high-scoring games. You had one team that went to, 16 rounds of shootouts, so it gets a big headline. Most teams are playing 4 or 5 guys differently from their regular starting lineup, including Columbus. They just also happen to have one of their best players in Lucas Zelarayan in a perfect spot.
And you had a 4-hour weather delay. I mean, that's really hard. You're mentally prepared to play at one time, and then you have to wait 4 hours, and then you're playing on a miserable pitch. It really makes it more difficult.
And the goal that really, I mean, it's so hard. Again, like you said, you're playing on not the best pitch. You're tired because it's 11 o'clock local time when they actually got to playing 11:15. And Celio Pompeu just made a mistake. He was sitting on the back post, and he runs up to the wall, and the wall's not wide enough, and Zelarayan just puts it right around there. Ben Lund didn't even flinch because he couldn't see the ball because Zelarayan just puts it around the wall there, and Pompeu just made a mental mistake, and that's kind of the bad side about soccer is if you make one mental mistake in the 11th minute, now the entire complexion of the game has changed, and it's going to be hard to get one back against a team as good as Columbus.
Yeah, I think I would be a little bit more concerned if it was a game that started at regular time. I mean, that is a long time to wait around. And when you already know that you're not going to have Tim Parker and Roman Berkey out there, I know that it was Leuven's first start. Technically his first start back.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and that's a lot of waiting around for those guys. I wasn't too overly concerned with the result.
They didn't look that bad.
And they didn't score. City didn't score until like the 85th minute.
And it was an own goal. I mean,
Yeah.
it was a nice piece of attacking from Nico. In fact, City sent out a tweet saying, Nico with a goal in the 86th minute before it got changed to an own goal because it was a good piece of attacking from Nico and a nice setup. But I mean, you get a free kick and they bury it. That happens every once in a while. We saw it with Messai. And then also the penalty. It wasn't a cheap penalty, but it also wasn't the most egregious one either. And so you have those two setups, and now it's the 30th minute. You're down 2-0. Those are just really tough games to come back with. If they could have gotten one back by the 60th minute, maybe there's a chance. But Columbus is too good of a team. You're not playing Inter Miami, pre-Messi here. So it's going to be tough. And now you have one of the biggest, if not the biggest, soccer club in the Western Hemisphere, in Club America coming up on Thursday. They're not BSing around. Liga MX is obviously higher quality than the MLS. So you're going to have to come. You're going to have to come with 100% of your roster. Leuven's going to have to play 90 minutes, and they're going to have to get, a big contribution from Sam Adeniran, AZ Jackson, these young players that have been making up for the absence of João Klaus. They have to keep making up for the absence. You just can't, glide on your previous performances. Those guys weren't fantastic last night, and that's why they didn't get a goal past.
That is St. Louis City SC fell to the Crew last night by a score of 2-1. And by the way, it wasn't the Brew Crew, it was the Columbus Crew that they fell to, the 2 Live Crew. Coming up, there's some new Cardinal trade rumors out on the interwebs. We'll give you those next on 101 ESPN. And ESPN from Alden Gonzalez. The Los Angeles Dodgers might be in first place in the National League West, but they're also one of the most needy teams heading into the trade deadline. They need starting pitching and relief pitching, and they'd also like to add a right-handed bat to their lineup, with position not being much of a factor. One name to watch here is Nolan Arenado, the Cardinals' third baseman, who's owed a very reasonable $94 million over the next 3 years. The Dodgers have long been enamored of Arenado, and they see third base as a need they'll have to address in the offseason given their present construction. The Cardinals aren't expected to trade Arenado at the moment, but the Dodgers have the type of young talent, particularly pitching, to sway teams in a situation like this. Arenado has a full no-trade clause, but he grew up in Southern California, and the expectation is that he would waive it for a team like the Dodgers. Okay, so with that being the case, if the Dodgers come to me and I'm Mo or Gersh, I want... the first thing I'm going to do is say, okay, if we do this, you're taking Willson Contreras and his contract too. Okay,
You're taking.
Okay. I want back your number one prospect, Diego Cartaya, or your number 3 prospect, Dalton Rushing, both catchers. I want Gavin Stone, who's also already up at the major league level. Bobby Miller, who's already up at the major league level. Emmett Sheehan, who's already up at the major league level. I want those 3 young starting pitchers plus Buehler and Cartaya. I want 5 for 1. 5 for 2 because...
5 for 2 because you're forcing them to take Willson Contreras.
And that contract, the full contract. So if that's the case, okay, think about it from this perspective now. You've got an infield of Nolan Gorman, Mason Wynn, Tommy Edman, or Donovan, and Goldie at first. And then in your outfield, well, you don't give up Carlson in this deal. So you've got Carlson, if you want. You've got Edman. You can trade Tyler O'Neill somewhere else, or you give them Tyler O'Neill too.
Is he just like a freebie to add into?
Yeah, because he's got a year left, and Boris likes
like
the
it.
Dodgers. What don't you like about it?
Nolan, Arenado leaving.
Yeah, I think I would have to agree with that. There's no way, because even in his own story that he put out in there, that he mentions that it doesn't seem like they're going to move him. How many times have we seen from people here who are covering the Cardinals on more of a daily basis saying that Nolan Arenado, Paul Goldschmidt, Jordan Walker, and even a Lars Nootbaar are part of your non-tradables? They're not going anywhere.
What if you get 4/5 of a starting rotation in return?
I like a lot of hypotheticals, but that is like so far-fetched.
Well, this is the value that a guy like Arenado brings, and that's the only way you move him is if you can get something spectacular like that.
Well, let's just trade Goldschmidt as well while we're at it.
Well, you can trade one or the other, but here's the question. Are the Dodgers going to be willing to give up as much for Goldschmidt when they've got Freddie Freeman at first as they would for Arenado?
I'm just talking about another team.
Find another team with 4 pitching prospects like that and a catcher. The Dodgers have the number 2 ranked system in baseball.
I don't know that the Cardinals should make that trade.
And these guys, I'm just saying that what I would ask for. By the way, these guys are already performing for the Dodgers at the major league level. Bobby Miller is 6-1 this year. Here, I can give you what they've got. Miller 6-1 with a 4.28. Grove is up, but he's giving you innings at least 2-2 with a 4.02. Evan Phillips has a 2.35 for them, and those are the only ones that are up. So we're missing.
Clayton Kershaw hurt, right? On the IL.
Yeah,
he's 10-4 prior to that.
Yeah, so.
Get Clayton back.
He's not going anywhere.
Oh, okay.
He's got 5-10, and he's playing for and he's a free agent after this year anyway.
Yes.
So he's not going to come and sign with the Cardinals. So if the Dodgers want to do that, I want 5 of their best pitchers / prospects.
Well, Andy, this will make you happy. Apparently, you can trade away a pitcher who's 1-5 with a 6.0 ERA and get multiple minor leaguers. So that makes sense. The Rockies have traded Pierce Johnson to the Braves for a pair of minor leagers.
There you go.
1-5 on the season with a 6.00 ERA. He has pitched in 43 games. He has 13 saves. Not in a 1.8 whip. And he gets 2 minor leaguers from the Braves organization.
They were using him wrong.
Whip.
They were using.
Well,
who's his catcher?
An earned run average of 6 in Colorado is 3 every place else.
What about his 5 last year in San Diego?
Not great.
All right.
Not great. By the way, the other Cardinal rumor that they have is that unless Blake Snell is moved, Jordan Montgomery is going to be the best lefty on the market, and the Dodgers and Astros would be the prime contenders for Jordan Montgomery as well.
Astros.
Intriguing.
That's interesting.
They lost Valdez for the year, I believe. Yeah.
Oh.
So they're looking for a lefty starter. So that'd be interesting. But this piece also says, and this is from our friend Jesse Rogers, that most contenders have at least some interest in Flaherty and or Montgomery.
Well, that's
everybody needs a starter.
We figured that, and the Cardinals are going to move those guys.
Yeah,
they're not going to get anything in return for them.
I just hope that the Cardinals work ahead. Normally, with the Cardinals, when they're buying, or as they have over the last couple of years, we don't find out who they're getting until late in the process. I would hope that John Mozeliak, and maybe he's got a bidding war going, but
he could.
I'm much more of the deal maker that says, okay, here's my price for product X. If you want to give me that price right now, we can work a deal. Army does that, and I prefer that rather than taking the chance that another team would give up a player and you'd lose a chip that you have or a contender for that player. So I would hope that the Cardinals get things done sooner rather than later.
On the Astros, they have 3 righties on the IL right now: Urquidy, McCullers Jr., and Garcia.
Okay, Luis Garcia was what I was thinking of. He's out for the year. So, yeah, that's and Urquidy, get him back late in the season. But they need starting pitching in Houston, and because they've brought most of their guys up, they don't have the sort of system that the Doyers have. Doyers have tons of young players.
I'm still sitting on it. I know Bowden said they're not giving up. I can't see how the Orioles, like when push comes to shove, deadlines make deals. I can't see how the Orioles are going to say, no. Despite the fact that we have a shot at being a playoff team this year and could really run with this young group, we're going to waste a playoff season because we don't want to give up a single one of our 9 top prospects. That would just be crazy to me to not even talk about the very bottom of that group when you're talking about a playoff spot and all you need is a couple starting pitchers.
You've got 9 of the top 100 prospects in baseball. You can't use them all.
I don't understand, like the Bowden thing, or even DL Hall. DL Hall, I think, would be a great look for the Cardinals because he's in AAA, he's 24, he's supposed to come up next year. But to even say that that's the guy that, like, no, we need this guy who's going to be a rookie next year because obviously he's going to fix our starting pitching instead of this veteran like Jordan Montgomery or Jack Flaherty. I don't understand how that's not going to eventually break the Cardinals' way in one way or another once things finally get up against the deadline. Something has to.
At some point.
Something has to.
Something good has to happen
this year, at some point. Other than Nolan Gorman.
Have you watched?
By the way, there's a writer at The Athletic named Tim Britton. And we love The Athletic, but if you're going to buy The Athletic, don't buy it for Tim Britton.
Oh, my God.
Well, so he's got this piece up about players that might be on the block and the previous comps for those players. And he lists Jordan Montgomery, who's 30 years old and is having a really good season and is taking his first foray into free agency. He compares him to Jay Happ when the Cardinals got him in 2018.
No, he's not.
He is.
What?
Jay Happ retired.
There's a giant difference.
He retired at the end of that season, Happ did.
Stop. No, he didn't. That was, that's something, huh?
Yeah.
I must apologize.
Why?
To you all, because I am totally enthralled in this conversation with this Vikings fan who is
Carries in a full no dive and he can't pull up. In fairness, I'm Carrie's tail gunner and I'm telling him to keep diving.
This person just compared Peyton Manning to Kirk
I know.
Cousins.
I saw that. I could not.
Hell are we doing here?
How many, I haven't paid really close attention to the NFL since the Rams left. How many MVPs has Kirk Cousins won in that time?
Zero.
Okay,
It's zero in Spanish.
Okay, how many Super Bowls has he won?
You like that?
Here's the kicker, Randy. Not even in an NFC Championship game.
How many times has he thrown 50 touchdown passes?
I don't think he's done it.
Okay, but I'm sure he's elevated people like Anthony Gonzalez around him and Brandon Stokely around him and turned those guys into really good players.
He actually has one of the best receivers to play the game. Could potentially, if he continues on this trajectory, could go down as, top 2 or 3
But he just keeps
wide receivers
saying
to ever play.
the media doesn't like people with values
Nobody
and faith.
cares.
What does that have to do
about
with
Kirk
anything?
Cousins and the Vikings. And this is not a direct shot at Kirk Cousins. I think he's a swell guy.
I do too.
Like that.
He is a guy that you would use swell for.
He's swell.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any. I think Kirk Cousins is a great guy, very good football player. Peyton Manning, he is not, nor will he ever be.
Yep.
And that's okay. Because you're going to play 15 years in the NFL, and there's only one Peyton Manning. Don't do that ever again.
No,
Okay?
never again.
Ever, if you're watching on the YouTube.
And, you know, there are a lot of quarterbacks that have gone to and won Super Bowls that had value and faith. Joe Namath, he valued a beautiful woman and had faith that he'd be able to pick him up.
Nope.
Isn't it different?
Oh, man. I mean, come on, Ben Roethlisberger. He valued how cool he was going to look on a motorcycle and had faith he didn't need a helmet.
Exactly. There you go.
Not a great idea, if you ask me.
No. So, Kirk, I'm a Kirk Cousins fan, but I'm not delusional.
Nor am I, Randy. I'm not either.
So, BK and Ferrari are coming up. Great job today by our producer and audio engineer, Matthew Rocchio. Great job of producing in that last hour. You were stellar.
Pleasure.
We did it.
Yeah, we did it.
We did it.
Thanks, bro.
Did it again.
Brooke, great job.
Yes, new Balk About It episode out, by
Gotta
the
get
way.
that- yeah, with you and Polo.
Polo Cincio, Cardinals Spanish broadcaster, and I, new Balk About It episode. It's trade talk, so we're talking about all the ridiculous trades and our bold second half predictions for the Cardinals. And I have a wacky one. No, it's not really that
I'll be
wacky.
watching.
I've talked about it a lot.
It's on our YouTube channel, right?
Yes, it's on the tube, and also you can listen to it whatever you want. It's available right now.
Love it.
Rocc, what did you learn about me today?
Hey.
I'm against him, for sure.
Belated HBD to Matthew Rocchio,
Happy
too.
birthday, Rocc.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to say that Carey is he's a groundbreaker when it comes to orange uniforms. If you didn't know, now you know.
Yeah.
For all of us, we thank you for tuning in, texting in, and being a part of the show. Till tomorrow morning at 7, and we don't know how long we'll be here till tomorrow. Have a great day, St. Louis.
That's right.